What's going on, everybody? We're here. We're live. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to a Black Friday edition of the Poker Life Power Poker Podcast. My name's Joey Gramon, a.k.a. Chicago Joey. Before we get into it, guys, I don't know with Upswing's doing some like Black Friday sale. I think everyone's obligated to have a sale today. And for people that signed up for the lab last month, I mentioned the bonus videos, 20 bonus videos I'm giving out. I just emailed out about the first part of those videos. Check your emails if you signed up through my link. If you haven't yet, links below for any sort of course or anything like that. You can check it out. And I got nothing else, man. Joining me today on the podcast, and guys, I gotta say, he texted me and he's furious. Okay, he's mad at me about something I've been talking about lately. He's been getting him really steamed up. And the last time this happened was when Luke Shorts messaged me on Skype and said, I want to do a podcast, and wouldn't tell me why. I can only imagine what's about to happen right now. I'm a little bit nervous. I wore my Nolan Hold'em hat just for Doug. This is the hat I wear when I talk Nolan Hold'em with people. We're joined by the supreme leader, Douglas K. Polk, a.k.a. Doug Polk, a.k.a. WCG Writer, a.k.a. Mr. Bankroll Challenge, a.k.a. Mr. Video Game Player, a.k.a. Mr. New House, a.k.a. Doug Polk in the house. What's up, Doug? What's happening, brother?
It's good to be here, Joey, but I'm going to save you a little bit of the whole pregame antics, and we're going to jump right in here because I have a bone to pick with you about what you know what your deal is. The PLO this, the putt limit Omaha, the great game of putt limit putt limit Omaha, and we're sick and we're tired of it, man. We're sick and we're tired of it because we all know what the true game is, the real game. A man's game. It's played with two cards, not four cards. And guess what? You can bet whatever you fucking want. There are no limits. Not a putt limit. There's no limit. The real game, the greatest game is no limit hold'em. And you know what, Joey? I feel like it was time that we did something to cement this, to allow us to embrace the culture of the greatest game, no limit hold'em. No more of this PLO bullshit, which is why we are announcing our new clothing line, Eat, Sleep, No Limit Hold'em, bitches. That's right. No Limit Hold'em up in the house. Is that not your style? Check this one out. No Limit Hold'em. It's a way of life. That's right. It's a way of life. Some creative ideas. I don't know where I got them from. Of course, these are all in the Upswing store. Guess what, by the way? We got a 20% discount on this merch right now for Black Friday. So if you want to join in the resistance against this four-card bullshit, you know what you have to do.
What do you got to do? I don't get it. What do you have to do?
They have to join the No Limit team, bro. Eat, sleep, no limit hold'em. It's a way of life. It's the best game, the greatest game. There are no standees. There are no, my aces only have 58% equity. I'm talking about pure, unfiltered 81% equity with aces, Joey. Eat, sleep,
all right, guys. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Poker Life Podcast. Make sure you find it on iTunes. You can check it out. Search Poker Life. And I don't know what we got to take over here. Now Doug muted his microphone now. He's said enough about Nolan Hold'em. He muted his damn microphone right now. Doug,
I've said what I had to say, Joey. I know it's good right here in the chat. Look at these people. They know what's good. No Limit Hold'em in the mix. We're taking it to the streets. We're going to be taking it to social. We're going to be taking it to YouTube. In fact, if we sell 100 of these shirts, I'm going to make a video, the truth about the greatest game ever, No Limit Hold'em. The truth, Joey. If we sell 100 shirts, the truth.
What's the truth? What is the truth? What is the truth? Wait a second. What's the truth about No Limit Hold'em? What's the truth? Am I missing something here? Did I miss the truth?
Look, I'm not going to come in here and tell you that this elitist society you got going on, which is great, by the way, is right, because it's not. And sometimes you have to stand up for the common man. Me and you guys. You see you guys in the chat? Us guys. We don't play PLO, okay? And don't let Joey brainwash you with his put limit Omaha. We are playing No Limit Hold'em.
Why do you sound like you're having some sort of a panic attack when you say pot limit Omaha? I don't understand what you're doing. Like, what's wrong? Are you okay?
Joey, it's the way you say PLO, man. It's the pot, it's the pot, the great game of pot limit Omaha. You always just rattle it out there. We're sick and we're tired. We're ready for two cards.
Okay, so let me get this straight, Doug. you're doing a promotion where if you sell 100 of these vile, disgusting fucking shirts and tank tops, you're gonna be making a video called "The Truth About Nolan Hold'em."
We are going to make a video if we sell 100 of these guys, or of course, No Limit Hold'em as a way of life. Both of these guys. A video that, Joey, it's been a long time in the making. It's a video that needs to happen. It's a video about the truth. Do you guys seek the truth? Because the greatest game is No Limit Hold'em.
Well, I hate to tell you, Doug. Well, I might not be very good at explaining things, but Jay Nandez is going to be in Las Vegas very soon. And me and Jay Nandez are going to make a video about why Pot Limit Omaha is the greatest game in the entire world, in the history of games. And I might not be able to explain myself, Doug, but if Jay Nandez writes that shit, you know I'm going to sound like a fucking genius. So you better watch out, because that video is going to be coming too.
As far as I'm concerned, there are two sides of the fence here. You can't sit on the fence anymore. A war is emerging in this country, in this world. And you're either on the No Limit Hold'em side, or you're on the Pot Limit Omaha side, and you have to decide, my friends.
Let me get this straight, Doug. After feuding with every person in poker, after feuding recently with Matt Berkey, who had on the podcast we talked about, now you're going to feud with a fucking poker game itself, too? You're going to feud with Pot Limit Omaha? You love playing Pot Limit Omaha. You were just on Live at the Bike last week, drunk out of your mind, having such a great time. You looked at me, Doug, this is on video, too. This isn't made up. I got receipts. You stared at me with those drunk, glassy eyes of yours. You stared at me and you said, you know what? Pot Limit Omaha is a really fun game. You stared at me and said that to me, and now all of a sudden you're making some sort of campaign against PLO. I don't understand this.
Joey, you know what, man? You know, we've been friends for a long time. And sometimes you just don't want to let people down. You know, the people that are closest to you, you want to just hold them in. And so I did what I had to do to make you feel good about your addiction. But you know what? It's time. It's time to come home. Come home. You used to play 24 tables of No Limit Hold'em all the time. All the time. You were Mr. 24 tables of No Limit Hold'em. You were.
Yeah.
Come home.
I got to think about that one more, Doug. I don't know. Listen, I've been watching No Limit Hold'em lately. I watched a couple of the poker hand videos. I've been watching Poker After Dark this week, and I got to be honest with you guys. And I did commentary last week on Live at the Bike. I got to be honest with everybody out there, and this isn't a lie. I played a No Limit Hold'em poker session on online poker recently, and I've been considering playing more No Limit Hold'em. And I know this is blasphemous to say, but I have been having some interest in two-card Pot Limit Omaha. So
it's all right. Baby steps. It'd be good to have you back. I mean, look, here's the thing. You know, PLO giveth and the PLO taketh away. But it's that ride. It's an adrenaline. You know, you just got to get some PLO. You got to get more cards. And then where does it end, Joey? 5 cards? Yeah, 5-card PLO is the thing. 6 cards, before you know it, you're playing stud. Wow. It's a gateway game to playing stud. Do you want to play stud, Joey?
Not going to be able to do it. No, I ain't playing no stud, bro. Listen, man, I'm not quitting Pot Limit Omaha anytime soon. I might play some 2-card Pot Limit Omaha, but I'm certainly not going to be quitting 4-card Pot Limit Omaha anytime soon. There's absolutely no chance that will ever happen, guys. But I did want to play 2-card, and so they can buy this shirt. Is that what you're saying? Where can they get the shirt from? Where's the shirt at? Link in the description. Where do we go?
Oh, yeah, we'll put a little link ski in the description, but it's on Upswing Poker in the merchandise store. By the way, guys, we got to start spreading the word. We got to get the word out about No Limit Hold'em against PLO, because the people know. The people know.
Everybody knows. What are you saying? Everybody knows.
We got to get the word out. So if you could head over to Twitter, I just put a poll up for you guys to vote. Let your voices be heard, okay? Because Joey does a lot of talking. You guys, for some reason, are still here. Let's let your voices do the talking over on Twitter at Doug Polk Poker. We got a nice poll, and the votes are coming in, Joey. They're coming in hot. We got 80%.
Well, listen, Doug, I'm going to tell you, I recently voted on a Twitter poll posted by Mike Matisow, who said who would be the first sexual assault person to be accused in poker. And you were on that poll too, Doug. So are you saying polls on Twitter are that legitimate? Or is this poll different than that poll, or what?
Well, to be fair, I was the least likely to be a sexual predator out of that group. So yes, I'm going to say that they are all correct. No, I mean, okay, so obviously Twitter polls. Actually, you know what? This is a good segue, Joey. Let's talk about Twitter lately, because Twitter has been out of.
Wait, who do you think I voted for in that poll, by the way? And you know, it was Daniel Negreanu, I think, Antonio Sfandiari, you, and Dan Bilzerian. Who do you think I voted for in that poll?
I mean, obviously Bulgarian.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No,
Antonio?
no,
You voted for me?
definitely not you. Come on, what are you talking about? I wouldn't vote
You
for
voted
you.
for D-Negs? I thought you and
I
D-Negs
don't
were
know.
boys.
I just we had my I who would I think? I mean, obviously it's Bilzerian. Come on, but no, I didn't vote for Daniel. I voted for Bilzerian.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But yeah, let's talk about this Twitter beef lately, man. Because like, I don't know if you've been like checking out the Twitter streets and whatnot, but like people have been going ham on Twitter.
Who's going ham on Twitter?
Well, we had so okay. So first off, we had the Dean Eggs versus James Woods thing. You see that?
Oh yeah, I saw that James Woods, Dean X. I saw that. That was interesting to see. I guess.
Yeah. Well, so Dean Eggs. Okay, so for those of you who didn't see this, so basically Dean Eggs kind of jumped the gun, and someone posted like a picture where it said like James Woods like hashtag Me Too, and it was like a famous actress, and it's unclear whether that meant like her specifically or like there was another person that came forward with a James Woods story. And so Dean Eggs just like saw that picture and said, "Oh, it's time to add James Woods to the pedophile list or something," like
Yes, I saw
immediately. And I looked at it and it was like, okay, well, a lot to unpack here, right? And it's a very complex issue. But like, if one person comes forward and says like, this happened or whatever, we should take it seriously. We should hear what they have to say. We should get the facts and stuff. But like, if one person comes forward with a sign and it says like, whatever, you can't be like, oh, throw him on the list. He's on the pedophile list now. So I don't know. I felt like, and don't get me wrong, James Woods has said some really terrible things on Twitter, and like he's completely out of line. Not in the Joe Ingram like we're doing whatever out of line, but in the James Woods, I'm going to attack like people on Twitter out of line. And so like James Woods not a great guy. He's attacked many people for many things that are pretty stupid. But I kind of feel like in this instance, like Daniel was being a bit out of line just to say like this guy's a pedophile now because of this like one post. And then they kind of just went back and forth, and then James Woods just started hammering on him, just like calling him like a piece of shit, and just like, or I read the exact wording on the original tweet, and then he kept retweeting more stuff, and then the next day he tweeted the picture of Daniel in blackface where he's like, doing the Jamaican bit, and he's like, oh, so now like I don't know, whatever, like he's like attacking Daniel for whatever, and like they were like swinging back and forth, man. It was some pretty heated beef going on.
Did you get a little inspiration from watching that? Maybe you're a little bit too nice in some of your back and forths because I saw that. I'm like, damn, I never seen Doug go that hard at anybody like that. So maybe you got a little inspiration from watching those two go after each other.
No, no, that's not really. I'm more in it for like the jokes and stuff. Like if I'm gonna go after somebody, I'm gonna like make fun of them like humorously. I'm not gonna be like you cowardly piece of shit. Like I'm not. It's just I don't know. It's just not really my style. Um, but it was interesting because like just seeing like people kind of like battle like that, and like the responses were obviously like terrible because we have just like infinite people just like spouting off nonsense just on both sides. So that was an interesting one to watch go down. And then we had the one between that rapper guy, Talib, whatever. What's his name?
I have no idea who that guy is. I don't know. I don't listen to that guy, but I did see that he had about 700,000 tweets. So it looks like he enjoys tweeting, and it looked like he went back and forth with Stealth Monk, and then Vanessa Stelps, your friend, and then a bunch of. I mean, I don't really pay attention too much to the Twitter beefs that go on, but I kind of did see a little bit about that. But I don't know the specifics of what exactly the issue was between people.
Well, it's not really like as interesting, I think, but basically like he called some poker player a racist, and then a bunch of poker players kind of fought back, and they like all like argued, and yeah, I mean, the guy Talib or whatever, he seems like kind of an idiot. He said like a bunch of things like, "Oh, well, you're racist," and it's just like, okay, but like, why is someone a racist? Like, you're just gonna call people racist just for like whatever. Um, but yeah, it was like some interesting discussion kind of spawned from that. And yeah, I don't know. Twitter's just been a crazy place. I don't know. Maybe you're not as interested in this stuff as I've been like kind of following along, but
So wait, what do you find so interesting about it? Because I've been seeing that a little bit too, but I mean it's sort of interesting from like a when you see like a car accident on the side of the road, you want to take a look at it. From myself, that's the kind of interest I might see from it, but you find something else interesting that you take away from it.
well, I just mean like in the whole thing happening, like it's kind of a spectacle, when like you see these people arguing with each other about like kind of stupid shit. To be honest with you, like this basically boiled down to someone calling someone a pedophile and then someone else calling someone racist, and like that's like basically the whole story. Um, yeah, no, but I'm with you. Like just from like the train wreck, just like watching the trains collide. DNX also tweeted something yesterday, and it's just like, man, it's Thanksgiving. People are with their families, and
I
like,
got it. Doug, you finish that. I gotta go grab a quote. I got a quote from D-Negs I want to read to you. Hold on.
all right. So I'll tell the story briefly. So like it's Thanksgiving. Everyone's like enjoying like family time, watching sports, like eating food, whatever. And we got this tweet from Daniel where he tweeted. Let me find exactly where this one is at. When I think of Thanksgiving, I think of murder, rape, genocide of natives killed by white pilgrims armed with evil weapons, a destruction of a culture and its people. Not as happy as football on Black Friday, but at least it's the truth. Okay, so not to take away at all from like the plight of Native Americans. Obviously, like the settlers did like a lot of like super messed up things. I'm not saying that's cool at all, but like people are trying to like celebrate a holiday with their family. It's not like any of the people alive there, the people that came here and like pillaged the Indians. That's not the situation that's going on. So I just seemed like a very like unnecessary comment here, on a holiday for our country.
Well, Doug, I want to read a quote to you from Tribe and Mentors, Tim Ferriss's new book. So Tim Ferriss, there's a couple of poker players in this book. Liv Burry's in here, Fedor's in here, and Daniel Negreanu's in here. So they have the chapter. And Daniel's thing, he says, to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, do nothing. He said, this quote has deep meaning to me, much like Theodore Roosevelt, man's in the arena quote. It's a reminder that when you challenge the norms, when you make your voice heard, you are guaranteed to receive criticism. But in the end, it's all worth it. The alternative is being invisible, and that's not how I live my life. I thought that was basically a good summarization of how Daniel approaches social media, approaches his place as someone whose words can have an impact on the world. And he says something, he believes in it, he understands that it's gonna take criticism, and he goes out and he says it anyway. And I have respect for that approach. In terms of the exact words that he's saying, I'm not really paying much attention to that, but I can see where he's coming from. He's got a stance. He's got something he believes in. He hates fucking people that eat meat. He hates meat in general. And, he kind of voices his opinion on that no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, but here's the other side to that. Like, it's fine to take, causes that you think are important and like, try and help promote them. But when you're like trying to like, I guess, go against like the fabric of like a country that you've just become part of, like he's just now become an American citizen, and then you're going to come in and like attack people from like basically like, enjoying this holiday season where like the meaning of Thanksgiving has really kind of become something more about like giving thanks and like being with your family, and then turn it into like rape and pillaging, and like it's like, okay, but like at some point are we not just going to like enjoy some of the things in life that are enjoyable and let people kind of live their lives? Or do you have to always go after people for doing things that are frankly like common and normal? Like, some of the tweets about meat have just been just completely out of line. And like humans are omnivores. Like we eat meat and we eat plants, but like in general, meat is very healthy. Like protein is very healthy for people. Chicken is very healthy for people. So it's just weird to be like, oh man, like not only should you not be eating meat from like a moral stance, but it's also better for you. Nom, 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 soy, the soy protein's so good and it's strong. And then like tweet out like 3 people that are like vegetarians that are also strong people. Like, look, you can be strong. Okay, sure, you can be strong. I'm not saying you can't be strong. But Joey, I've met a lot of vegetarians along my journey, and in general, they tend to be weak, frail people. Not saying that that's all of them. There certainly are some like real like beastie guys, but they tend to be like small, very like I don't know, shorter from lack of nutrition, and like they can't really lift things, and like I guess I would say like kind of helpless and frail. But no, it's if it's a lifestyle you want to live, sure, but it's not healthier. Like it's not like it's like nutrition. Like nutritionally speaking, being a vegetarian is not better than eating meat. Sorry, guys, you eat animals, it's like good for you.
Bang bang. I mean, that was one of the biggest bang bangs I've seen you do so far, Doug. So basically, what you're saying is Daniel Negreanu is weak, is frail, and he can't lift things. He can't lift heavy things.
No, I didn't say Negreanu is weak and frail. I said vegetarians are more likely to be weak and frail, and in my limited sample size of meeting them, they tend to be more like that. That's not to say you can't be a strong person if you're a vegetarian. You just have to now take more effort to get that source of protein, because now you have to find. I mean, look, this is not gonna be a shocker. Meat has a lot of protein, right? It's a really great source of protein. And like leaner meats like chicken, grilled chicken are just absolutely fantastic sources of protein. So if you're gonna be vegetarian, you can still get that amount of protein, but it's much harder. You have to eat more, you have to eat different things, you have to like really be trying to find places to get that protein that you could easily get from meat. So it takes more time and more effort to be able to get that same amount of protein that I think a lot of people end up struggling with, and they end up thinking that there's like a lot of protein and things that don't actually have a lot of protein. I mean, I don't know if you looked at like the nutritional facts on grilled chicken. I've been eating grilled chicken nonstop trying to lose weight lately. And like grilled chicken is just absolutely amazing for you, man. It is like, it's just packed with protein. It's actually, it's too bad it tastes so bad, but as far as like health goes, it's so good for you that, yeah, vegetarians tend to be more weak and frail and whatnot.
I gotta say, Doug, hold on. I gotta pull up my list. I currently have a power ranking list of my favorite types of Doug. And obviously, we got NFL Doug, we got Crypto Doug, we got Omaha Doug, we got Norman Holden Doug, we got Bang Bang Doug. Let me put down diet and nutrition Polk on the list here. Hold on a second. Nutrition Polk.
Oh, I'm sure that one's gonna rank very high.
This one's coming in hot. I'm liking you talk about diet and nutrition. I gotta say, I like it better than NFL Doug. You know, NFL Doug during Thanksgiving. Although to be fair, I didn't watch football on Thanksgiving. The only reason I knew what was happening because I saw your tweets. So,
okay, look,
fair, you're kind of like a reporter in a little bit of ways for some people out there.
I'm gonna try and do something, Joey. I'm gonna try and do something, and I can't promise I will come through on it, but I'm gonna try, guys. I'm gonna stop getting so angry about teams making idiotic strategic decisions, okay? Because they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not a question of when or a question of if, it's a question of when. Mm-hmm. And not just that, there are so many people unable to understand like what strategy is, that like when coaches do something stupid, a lot of the masses will defend them. So like, for example, let me give you an example here. In the NFL, there's a study done by the New York Times. It's like a fourth down bot, like what you should do on fourth down. And generally speaking, if it's 4th and 1 yard, you should go for it no matter where you are. And I know that's going to make people like super angry, like, no, not on your own territory. Brr, 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 brr. What if you miss? But look, every time you punt, stop looking at punts as, yeah, we can hold them, and start looking at punts as, what is the EV of this punt, right? What is the expected value of this punt? And the answer is that when you punt, you give the other team points, right? They're going to get the ball, they're going to be on whatever yard line, and they're going to score at X frequency. So people think about like optimal, like the best case scenario. Like, well, if we punt and we hold them, they get nothing, right? And that's not the way to look at it. We want to look at it just pure raw EV. What has a higher EV? So if you go for it on 4th down and you get it, not only do you now have a chance to score points, right? Your EV is no longer 0, it's now higher, but you also remove the other team from getting those points. So it's actually like a really critical time to go for it, because you can kind of win two things here. And yes, if you give up the ball in your own territory, deep in your own territory, I understand your opponent's chance of scoring goes up a lot. But the thing is, your chance of scoring goes down to 0 if you don't go for it. And either way, your opponent's getting the ball. So anyway, this study basically showed that you should always go for it on 4th and 1. You should almost always go for it on 4th and 2. There's a few spots in the field you shouldn't. And 4th and 3, you should probably go for it on half the time, or generally go for it, or whatever. Well, that's assuming like neutral. That's just like not including game conditions, right? Not including like you're up points or down points or whatever. But the thing is, when you're down points, and this is something that Americans hate, nothing is more red, white, and blue than wanting to be extremely conservative at all points. Good football means you never take risks. You know why? Because risks are for losers. Do the right thing. Be conservative. It's the American way. But it's not how you play football. You should be playing aggressively and trying to win the game. When you're down points late in a football game, it is not the time to now get more conservative. It's simply not. It's time to get more aggressive, because your chance of winning bases around you scoring points. And it's so weird to me when people are like, oh, well, you should always go for it on 4th and 1. But like, if it's like there are 3 minutes left in the game, and like, if you give the ball up, you lose for sure. You can't go for it there. But in those spots, you should go for it. So yeah, I guess here's what I was gonna say, Joey. Here's what I'm trying to say. I am going to stop getting so angry about people making terrible strategic choices because you know what? It is what it is.
Oh, what was that? Oh, okay. Oh, whew. Sorry, I got lost there for a second. Hold on, my bad.
You're not there. Oh shit. Oh, that's yeah,
I
terrible.
got lost. I got lost. I've never, dude. I've never. You. How long have you been waiting to say that? You've had that in your system for so long, like that. You've had that for so long. You really have.
I mean, it's just like, man, like, and then the randoms come out of the goddamn woodwork. Well, technically, actually, it's 5 minutes left, and like, you can't go for it when there's 5 minutes left because then they lose. It's like, bruh, shut
Fucking
the fuck
Jim.
up.
Fucking Jim, man. You know those gyms. Can you imagine? You didn't know we got gyms in poker. Can you imagine how gyms are in NFL? They've got to be. There's like billions of fucking gyms.
I can only imagine, man. I can
Are
only
you?
imagine.
Tell you what, I got an idea. Why don't me and you find a football team to coach, like a youth football team, or like some sort of like pick? Why don't we find a football team to fucking coach for? I don't know. Can we do it in the spring? Why can't we? Like, there's got to be some time we could do it. Maybe like a once a week sort of thing, like one practice, something like that. I don't really know how it would work, but
You want us to find a youth football team and coach them with no football experience. And
did you just hear what you just said? You sound like you're a fucking professional football player.
no. What I'm saying is that no one's going to give us the job. And also, why do we want to do this?
Dude, they're definitely going to give us the job. What are you talking about right now? Why would we, if you volunteer, you go say, I want to coach football. What's your credentials? Well, we got, Doug's got 175 million YouTube subscribers on there. Come on, what are you talking about? Listen, I'll take out this clip and I'll post it to him and I'll show him that you know what you're talking about.
It would actually be kind of funny. It would be kind of funny to do that and vlog it.
That's what I'm saying. The Las Vegas out of liners, exactly. Branch 13. The Las Vegas out of liners, exactly. It's an idea. Just throwing it out there. It's an idea. We coach a football team, maybe like a 6-game season or something like that. I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those ideas that we don't do, like table talk.
You think this? I think, dude, table talk's a legendary idea for, okay. Right now, that show would be watched by tens of thousands of people.
Oh, no kidding.
Who knows if I would show up every week, but either way, the show would be going. I actually went back to watch Table Talk, Doug, and I mentioned this kind of as a joke before we started the podcast, but I got to know, why did your face look so different during Table Talk than it does right now? What was going on in your face during that time of the year?
What is up with you and this like conspiracy theory that I was wearing makeup?
Or were you?
You know, like it's from like day one. You're like, Doug, you're looking a little tan there, buddy. You're looking
Why
a little
are you
tan.
so tan?
That's weird. I haven't seen you outside lately, and yet you're tan. Oh, that's really weird. Oh, and you're tan. Oh, in the video you're tan. Oh, that's interesting. Is there something you do before and after the video that makes you look more tan? Perhaps I don't really know what you're saying. Are you telling me that you think I wear makeup, Joey? What do you say over here?
I'm gonna be serious, Doug. I think during that time you were either wearing bronzer or some sort of makeup. Yes, 100%.
0%.
What the hell? Did you not? You guys gotta go back. Honestly, people, they have to go. And there's nothing wrong, dude. I wore makeup for a little bit of time when I was living in Australia, and I went to music festivals. Okay, I put on makeup, and why not?
I have no problem with wearing makeup. For bigger shows, you get makeup done before you go on. When I was on like ESPN, you get makeup done. When you're on Super High Roller Bowl, you get makeup done. I'm fine with. I have no problem with doing that. But I'm not gonna put makeup on for a fucking YouTube video to fucking 98% dudes. I just don't care. And what am I doing it for? Yeah. Oh man, Doug's getting real tan. Oh, I'm gonna cash in on like 5 more views. Yeah, that seems like it's like the play. If I was doing it, I would admit it, but I was not doing it. I was just more tan. You know that I went to Punta Cana, right? Late October last year.
Okay. Is that when they took that creepy photo of you, or is that a different? That was that different.
That was that time. Yeah.
That's really fucking creepy. By the way, I just mentioned it's. Okay,
guys,
so
do you think,
never wore makeup, right?
You believe me there? Do you think you believe me, guys? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I still think you wear makeup. Doug, what's going on this week, Doug? It seems like their last week live at the bike week. Obviously, we were out there all week. You played out there. Did you Did you make money on that last day? I know you were up. You heads up match. You crushed. So by the way, guys. So a lot of you guys, I think when they watch Doug play poker, Doug. What most of the times you see Doug play, Doug's playing like full ring. He's playing 7-handed, 6-handed, and Doug's specialty is heads up poker. It turns out when Doug plays heads up poker, he's probably going to have a lot more success at heads up poker on average than he's going to have maybe in some of these other formats. And I don't think people realize that, Doug. And I kind of want to ask you, what do you think? Do you think it's that big of a difference going from playing heads up, which you've played hundreds of thousands of hands, and you played that many hands at full ring as well too, in six max. But your specialty, what you're great at, what you're debatably one of the best at in the entire world, is heads up, know 'em, and hold 'em. And then when you get to sit down in a 6 or 7 or 8-handed game, how, I guess, where do you feel like you kind of stack up there against other top players who maybe that's their main focus, whereas your focus has always been this other format?
Well, there's certainly a little bit of an advantage there for people that have more experience in that game type, but I also think that's an element that tends to get overplayed. Like the kid, I've been playing poker since before you were born. Like, okay, well, you probably suck, So I don't think experience is too significant when it comes to poker. At the same time, if you're spending all your time studying and learning in those formats, then yeah, it's going to help you out a bunch more. So I don't really feel like it's a disadvantage for me. Um, but it is definitely safe to say that I'm stronger at Heads of No Limit. I mean, that's the game that I've played kind of from the ground up. So, yeah, I mean, the Heads of No Limit was great. Obviously, playing against like a good player. Danmer's a good heads up player for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna be more likely to have success playing in a heads up format, unless it's against Phil Hellmuth.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that I'm sure. Although to be fair, even though you did suffer defeat to Phil, I would imagine you would enjoy the opportunity to play him as much as he'd be interested in playing you in a heads up format, though.
Yeah, I would certainly be interested in that. But I mean, it is what it is. Maybe one day we'll battle again. But for the time being, I don't think it's in the cards.
I want to give a big shout to Danmer too. So Danmer finally showed up, got up to the plate. I don't want to say manned up 2017. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. He personed up, he humaned up. He finally played you heads up. He did get smacked around a little bit, but it was nice to meet him finally. We went out. I think we went out one night. I think on a Saturday night or something like that, and we had a very fun time. So yeah, Danmer. Big shout to Danmer. I think he's going to be playing a little bit more of these televised kind of cash games as he's had some interest to play on the Poker After Dark. So we're going to see maybe if he plays on there. And overall, I think the week was fun, man. What was your kind of takeaway from the Live at the Bike week, minus what we'll get into next, which is sort of what happened on that Friday episode?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, I would say overall I had a good time. I think 5 days of playing is maybe a little too much. I think in the future, if I do something like this, I don't think I'm going to schedule the full thing. There was actually a little bit of confusion out of the gate. It was supposed to be Tuesday through Friday, but then I don't know, the confusion happened, and then it became Monday through Friday. So
the confusion was I said, hey, we're gonna play PL on Monday, and you got to play, and then that was it.
Well, originally it was supposed to be on Tuesday. Whatever, it's not a huge deal. But yeah, just it was maybe a little bit too much poker, just kind of every day having to play so many hours. I'm old now, man. I don't play as much poker, especially live. Kind of like grinds you down a little bit. But I would say, all in all, I had a great time. Played a lot of good games. Ended up losing, I don't know, 30 or 40 or 50,000 on the trip. I don't. I've stopped counting. So yeah, that was good. I got to hang out with a bunch of people that I actually like to spend time with. That was great too. Obviously, good to see Fees. And then it was cool to play with Dan Smith, Danmer, basically anyone named Dan. Dan Cates. Really, really, it was cool getting to hang out with all of the Dans except for Coleman. And yeah, had a good time, man.
All right, so let's talk about Friday. So Friday happened. Originally supposed to be for you guys. Probably have seen the story on your Doug's channel, or you maybe watch a podcast with me and Matt Berkey I had on Monday, where we talked more about it as well too. But it's supposed to be a 200-400 game, going down there 200-400 with $1,000 ante, something of that nature. Game didn't go down, and then you made a video that sort of talked about how this is becoming an issue in poker. And while I didn't necessarily, I feel like you singled out Josh a little bit, who I don't know much about. You singled out Matt a little bit in this scenario, which I don't know. I have to know a little bit more about it, just see if I agree with that or not. But I do think the you making that video, you talking more about this, I think it's good for poker and for the future of these televised games, because I do feel like it is becoming more and more of an issue. We saw it one time on the Poker After Dark, and then we saw it like 2 times, and then like 1 or 2 more times the next time as well too. And then it happened here. So I feel like while, this might draw some attention in a negative way to some people, are just kind of, might not, people might look at it and say, oh, I don't think this had to be done like this. I do think overall it's very, very good, because this isn't very good for any side of things. It isn't good for the players, it isn't good for the people that are watching, it isn't good for the companies, it isn't good for the future of games like this taking place.
Yeah, so here's kind of where I'm coming from. I mean, I've talked about this a bunch. I'm sure some people are like, "Doug, we get it," but just one last time through, I guess. You know, I've really spent this year playing on basically any TV show that will have me. Been on the Bike, Poker Night America, Poker Go, did some ESPN stuff. Um, I've just kind of been trying to get into any of these games or spots to commentate that I can, and so I've gotten to see what kind of goes on like behind the scenes as far as like getting the players there and what that process looks like. And it's pretty brutal right now because the kind of status quo is you can say you'll be there, and then if you can or don't want to, you don't have to play. And while that sounds fine, when it gets to a point where people are planning on shows around these people and they're promoting, hey, we're gonna have these guys for this game. Like if you want to like tune in on Tuesday, we'll have these people. Oh, that's Are we live still? Is it good? All right, I'm gonna keep going while Joey fixes this up. Anyway, um, when it turns into like, hey, everyone show up, we're gonna have this game going, and you can watch this game, and then like on the Tuesday, one of the worst players, or well, really one of the worst players in general, says, "Oh, I'm not gonna play." Well, then it's like dominoes because now like some of the other worst players think they can't play, and they quit, and the next person quits, and then before you know it, you just don't have a game anymore. And it just kind of sucks for a lot of people. Sometimes people fly in to play on these games. Obviously, the fans want to see this go down. Obviously, there's a crew. There's the person running the game. One of the hardest and most underrated jobs in poker is setting the lineups for all of these shows. Like they have to put up with so much to try and get the best lineup out there that they can. And I really do think that if we don't start trying to like, you know, have a way where people will honor being at a show, then what's going to happen is this problem is going to get worse. We're going to see more people doing this, not less. If there's no punishment, then whatever, right? So I guess like my main point here is I would rather have like a worse lineup, but of people I know that are going to be there than like, oh, I'm only going to play this show if the bad player shows up, because like that's just not fair to anyone. I think there need to be more people willing to just kind of play, and if the lineup gets worse, whatever, you're willing to play. Um, but we really just need to find a way to make it so that when players say they're going to be there and they're going to commit to an event, that they actually follow through on it.
Yeah, I definitely understand that side of things too. And I'm kind of thinking about this a lot. And these shows are also in their infant stages of existence. With Poker After Dark, these live streams, these higher stakes sort of live events, they're very new. So I think it might just take some time before you have a regular group of people who will say, yeah, I'll play at anything. Dan Murr's like, yeah, I'll play. Yeah, Doug, yeah, I'll play. Jungle Man, yeah, I'll play if I'm there. Yeah, and then eventually you have a certain group of guys that will play no matter what. And then maybe those guys are going to get preference to be able to play in some of these games, and then they might get in softer lineups and stuff like that. And obviously, that whole balancing act is that's a mystery on its own, exactly how these guys handle doing that. But I know from talking with Feldman, from talking with Brett Hanks at Poker Central, that is hard. It's hard to get people lined up in a spot to play poker no matter what. So overall, I don't think it's a very easy thing, but I do feel like we'll probably see more of it happening in the future because the stakes are very high and not everybody's as risk adverse to gambling with hundreds of thousands of dollars against some of the best players in the world. But maybe that could be a time where maybe a year from now, like I said, we have a bunch of guys that are willing to play no matter what, and then we stop seeing this happening.
Well, there are a few things that you kind of have to do. And to be really clear, I'm not saying like, oh, these like weak players have to play against me at high stakes so I can win money. I'm not saying that at all. Don't want to play, do not play. But also don't say you're going to play. Don't say you're going to be there and you're going to be in and you're going to play in the game and then be like, yeah, you know what? No, because then, it again harms everyone involved. I guess like the main thing is just we're probably going to see these shows offer lower stakes. I think that the stakes are one of the biggest issues, just like asking people to put up so much money to gamble. Poker After Dark has probably had this problem the worst, I would say, of any of the shows. And they're going to likely continue to see that happen if they try and make the stakes like 200K minimum buy-in or 300K minimum buy-in or 100K minimum buy-in. These are like huge stakes, man. Like these are like serious like stakes. Like it matters to people. So maybe the solution is to have lower stakes. You're not going to have this problem in a 20 by 50 game.
Yeah, we'll kind of see what they do. We'll see what happens here. And I would want to applaud Feldman for at least trying the idea. Live at the Bikes never had a 200, 400 game, and they still haven't had a 200, 400 game yet, technically, too. But they gave it a shot. Poker After Dark, they have a lot more, I guess, experience lifetime with doing things like this, too. So it's not surprised that they're able to get some lineups. But I did think this week's lineup, I mean, they've showed they have a lot of potential to put together an interesting combination of players. We saw Garrett on there. We won over 600,000 the first day. Him and Matt Berkey were on the show, and then you had Bob Wright in the mix, who seems like, I don't know if you got to watch any, but it seems like Bob Wright actually plays a lot better than he maybe did a bunch of years back. And so you had Scott Seaver in the mix in there. You had I think one of the Jack. I don't really know what Jack the Asian guy was in there. You had Chris Kruk, who has made a debut. So I think it's cool to kind of see lineups like that where you have a couple new players in there. You get a couple of the recreational guys mixed in there, and so hopefully in the future we'll be able to see more and more lineups like that. And maybe you just have to, maybe you don't invite the players who become a problem, who turn down invites and who do things like that in the future. Maybe you say, hey, okay, well, if you don't want to show up and play when you say you're going to play, then we won't work with you anymore.
Yeah, those are obviously good steps to take. I didn't end up watching too much of the show. I just kind of like parsed through for some good hands to analyze. But I've actually played poker with Bob Bright more than people would think because I don't know, 6, 7 years ago when I got to Vegas and was like playing more live, I used to travel around town playing in this like 2, 5, 10 game. They would go from casino to casino. And Bob Bright was a regular in that game. So he would like show up and play in that game. And Bob Bright, for those of you that don't know, is a very successful trader, and he has like his own firm. And he told me like, at the time when I was playing the stakes, like if I ever wanted to try trading, that like, he, basically like he gave me some contact information for like how I could get into it, and like I assumed that he meant like he'd like help me out like get started and stuff too. So super nice guy, very successful guy, and really really like a kind guy. Someone that I've known for a while and has played poker for a while. So good to see him kind of getting in the mix with those stakes. I can't really say anything about the hands because I honestly just didn't watch, so I don't know exactly how he played, but I heard he made at least one like pretty sick fold in a big spot.
Yeah, I saw that Henry made a pretty big fold in a spot where you don't expect recreational players to make a fold. So, but overall, just from kind of seeing him play, I was a little bit surprised that I thought he played better than I would have expected to. So I guess the kind of thing I had Berkey on the podcast earlier this week, and you made the video about him, and he sort of responded back and kind of talked about that a little bit, and kind of, so where do things sit exactly with this? I don't know if it's a feud or the YouTube title you put, the feuding poker players. Is there like a feud happening between the two of you, or is it just like he didn't want to play in the game, or you think he didn't want to play? What exactly is the issue here going on between the two of you?
Well, I wouldn't say that I have anything personally against Berkey. I think he's made some comments about like me in the past that have been kind of, I don't know. It's funny when you say someone's like one of the most critical people ever or something like that, because like you're being critical on me by saying that. So it's kind of a funny thing to say to begin with, but I've never really felt any animosity with Berkey. I would still say that's the case. I think most of the stuff on YouTube is like jokes. Um, I like to like make fun of like the absurdity of stuff, and also when people are like kind of clearly lying. Like when Berkey said like he didn't know what the stakes were going to be like. I mean, they were posted pretty clearly, and also Feldman was very clear what they were going to be for like a long time with all the players. So this was a big deal for the bike. Like they like promoted it for a long time. They really tried to make this happen. They tried to get a big game, and so I'm just really not buying that excuse like at all. I think it's just a lie. So obviously when that happens, I like to make fun of it and show kind of the absurdity of it. Um, I don't exactly know what Berkey's situation is like. I do know that for the super high roller bowl, he said he had like a third. He put like 200K in action. He had a 700K bankroll or something. That's like obviously just terrible decision making. You don't want to be doing that. It's not the kind of thing you should be like advising people to do. It's how people lose all their money. I think you want to be advising people to play in the correct way. So, personally, no, I have no problem with Berkey. As far as like Berkey's like whole persona, I'm not a huge fan of it because it has like a very like elitist just I'm kind of better than you like look slash tone to it. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but there are many people in poker that I'm not a huge fan of. I wouldn't say it's anything particular. But going back and talking about that specific day, like, Berkey was the first person to bail once it became clear some other people weren't going to be showing up. And the whole excuse of like I didn't know what the stakes were going to be was kind of ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. And also, Joey, I'm just gonna say one thing here. Like at the end of the day, every game needs a Berkey. And when you don't have a Berkey, it's a lot tougher to get that game going.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
I just mean every game needs a Berkey, man. Every game needs a Berkey.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say something about poker ability? You think about his poker ability or what?
I'm just saying if you can't spot the Berkey at the table.
Bang, bang, I guess, yeah. Dang. So that's kind of where things sit with you two of you now. You haven't talked about it all or anything like that. It's just maybe you guys play in the future, maybe not, or what?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we play some in the future, but like it's not a big deal. Here's the main thing too, like this like internet like beef and stuff like I don't know. Like I just don't really care that much. I'm just gonna say what I think, and like if people get upset by it, fuck it. Like I just don't care.
Well, I mean, I like everybody though, but I like Berkey especially. I like talking to him and
Joey, you sit on the fence like always.
I'm not. I mean, I like both you guys. What do you want me to? I'm friends with both you guys. So it's hard for me. What the fuck is going on here?
Okay, well that was loud. I don't know what's going on over on Joey's. Guys, look, don't let this PLO person sit here and try and deceive you with their lies. Nolan Hold'em's the greatest game. And remember, we had a poll going on Twitter, which Nolan Hold'em coming in at 72%. That's right, the greatest game. Also, Joey, going back to what we were talking about, you sit on the fence so hard. Joey can't say, wait, is Joey here? Oh, he's back. Hello, Joey. I'm talking. All right, guys. Here's the thing about Joey. He just cannot say mean things about people. He's just always nice. He can't say it. The only people he can pick on, the only person he can pick on is Jamie Staples. That's it. It's one person.
Okay, I definitely missed that because for some reason the stupid audio box I have that connects my speakers and my microphone keeps fucking up. But what did you say? I only what?
I said you sit on the fence, man. You never call anyone out unless they're named Jamie Staples.
I'm not calling out Jamie Staples unless he opens the fucking chest box and says they're fired. That's it. Besides that, I like the kid, man. He works hard. I got respect for work ethic. Who else? Yeah, you're right. I remember last time I tried. What about Double A? What about Double A?
So, last time you tried to talk shit about people was like the most hilarious thing ever. Like name people, name someone. Well, he's actually a pretty good guy. Name someone else. Well, actually, he's a pretty good guy. Everyone's like a pretty good guy.
What about Double A? Double A, England Alec.
I mean, double A is like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like a little bad for Alec, to be honest with you. Just because it's just like he just got wrecked so hard, and like I don't know, man. Like he's like trying to do something that he thinks provides value and is like helpful to people. He's just like real slimy about it, and like now he's selling oil and shit. I don't know, man. Is he actually selling oil? Like actual oil? Bro, I saw some video from Torelli where he has a necklace, and if you open it up, it has something in there with scented oils that you can buy to like help you like focus and stuff.
Do they help you focus?
I have not bought one yet.
Oh, okay. And by the way, I want to go back to what you said about me. Just because I don't have things bad to say about people. Come on, I got like the people I talk to the most, the people that I meet or whatever. Like I don't know, man. I don't think it's that bad of a thing to be nice to people that you know and nice to people that you interact with. And if you don't know them, then you don't say anything mean about them. You don't say anything about them at all for the most part.
All I'm saying is if we were going good cop, bad cop, we both know who would be which.
I got no problem with that, man. Phil Galfon's a good guy too. He doesn't talk bad about people. I don't think that you need to be somebody who puts people down or says bad things to people or says mean things or says things about them, whatever.
Okay.
If I have something, I think some things about people the same way you do, but I just don't say it because I don't necessarily see, I don't see the purpose a lot of times.
Well, there's a big difference here, by the way, between like saying things that need to be said in an issue and just like always starting shit. And like it's a fine line. I'm not saying that it's like always clear what you should be doing. But you only ever say nice things about every person.
Yeah.
Every person. You know what? Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I feel like you should be a Pokerstars pro. Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay. Just hear me out.
Okay.
Pokerstars pros. I always think about it like this, and I'm sorry if I'm going to offend some Pokerstars pros, but I like to think of every Pokerstars pro as like a Disney character. Like they're like super upbeat. Let's go, guys. And then everyone's like kind of like going along, like look at all the people that are Pokerstars pros. They're all like super upbeat, nice people. Jason Somerville, Jamie Staples, Kevin Martin, Joey Ingram. They're all like, just like, you're great. I'm great. Let's be great together. Actually, the only exception to that is like Lex Veldhouse. He's like kind of a fucking animal, but like, I don't know how he's still in the squad really. But like, Elkie. Like, think about all these people. They're all like Disney characters, kind of. They're all like super nice. Like, let's stream some 1 cent, 2 cent, and play some spin and goes, and like open chests and whatnot. So, yeah, you know what? Maybe that's your calling, Joey. Maybe your calling is to get back to your roots and play No Limit Hold'em tournaments on PokerStars as an official sponsored pro. What do you think?
Fuck no. There ain't no fucking chance that's happening, man. Come on. Come on, man. No way. What is happening here?
Madness, guys. What do you guys think? Actually, let's get a poll in the chat. If you think that Joey would fit in nicely at PokerStars, let's get a 1. If you think that he would not fit nicely at PokerStars, let's get a 2. Let's see what you guys think here. Gotta see what you guys think. For what it's worth, let me look at like the PokerStars pros again. For what it's worth, it's not a bad thing. Like, it's not a bad thing being like a Disney character. They're very marketable. I think there are more pros that I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head as well. Let me find the PokerStars list. Who we got? Okay, here we go. Meet the professionals. All right, Negreanu, non-Disney character. We'll have that one. We'll have that one go. Moneymaker, not so much. Livery, not so much. But Elkie, kind of like a Disney character. Somerville, Jeff Gross, man. If Jeff Gross is a Disney character, I don't know who is. Who else we got up in here? Randy Lou, Nanoko, super Disney character.
He's not a Disney character. What do you think? He's like a video game player. He's not a Disney character.
I'm telling you, man. They're all like...
Have you not watched my latest videos? That's not me. I'm not a Disney character.
Look at all these ones, by the way, in the chat. Look at all these ones. Every person thinks... Bro, you know what? Actually, Joey, this is perfect. You already have the hat.
Wait, what was the question for the 1 and the 2?
If you should be a PokerStars pro or not, would you fit in?
I'm banning everybody that said 1. Right now, everybody's getting banned. These dumb motherfuckers. I'm not being up. They say more rake is better. You guys fucking kidding me? I do not support more. I don't support them taking money away from Supernova Elites. I don't support them basically making the Pop Law games fucking unbeatable for a lot of players out there to be able to move up. Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. I don't support jackpot poker, fucking the chest. Get out of here, man. I can't take these motherfuckers no more. Thank you, Charlie Carroll. At least he said 2 in the chat.
Are you
Sorry,
actually
I gotta do some
people right now?
I'm bad time banning them all, man. Everybody can get it right now. I'm just timing them out though. I don't want to perma ban everybody. That'd be too many.
All right.
So.
That's fair.
But no, Doug, that will never happen.
All right. Yeah, you get two OOL to be able to be on the squad, I think.
Doug, I recently made a video called When You Want to Drive Off the Bridge. How is that Disney character? What kind of Disney character you seen talking about wanting to drive off the bridge, Doug?
It's probably true. That's probably true.
Have you ever had that feeling when, maybe back in your early days of your poker career, if you lost a lot of money or if you went through a big downswing, did you ever come to that point where after the session ended, you kind of sat around thinking and you're like, man, I really want to fucking wow. Did you ever have sort of emotions like that you experienced when you're coming up in your own career?
Yeah. Look, Joey, this is something that I think a lot of people don't realize about me. But like it has not been rainbows and butterflies for my career in poker. I started poker when I was 18, and I think the first time around I ran it up. It took a while, by the way, it took a few years, but after a couple years of grinding small stakes full ring and kind of swinging around, I finally found my stride with some staking and playing some mid stakes no limit. And I ran my first like $200,000-300,000 roll after a few years. But there was a lot of struggle. There was a point where people thought I was the worst small stakes regular on Stars.
What is happening here?
I won a poll for worst small stakes regular on Stars. You know that site Poker Table Ratings? You can see everyone's graphs. Mine was like break even / losing. So, I've like definitely had some adversity along the way, and then once I even got to that point, I like lost like 98-99% of my entire roll. I was down to nothing. So I've had many points in my life where I questioned if poker was for me. I questioned if I had what it took to make it through. I questioned if like I was actually even any good at it. So, you know, I've been there. I've been there, and sometimes it's like sad. Like I remember after Black Friday, lost some money on Full Tilt, and I remember looking at how low my balance was, um, and being like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay rent. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay rent. My bankroll after Black Friday dipped into the four-figure territory. Four-figure territory, man. And I had a mortgage for $2,700 a month or something.
Damn.
So I don't know. Like I used to like walk around my neighborhood at night during that and think like, did I, ruin my life? Am I ever going to get a chance to get back to where I was? I decided that like I had to give it one last shot and only play the game that I actually could like really crush at and see if I could make it or not. So, yeah, I've been there. I've been there for sure. That's like I think it's kind of part of the process, and like being there, especially after having achieved some success, it teaches you like next time around how you're going to handle it differently and how you're going to make sure that you don't fail in that same way.
Right. Can you hear me right now?
Very faintly.
Very faintly. Okay. I'm trying to. I got my old computer back here, so I'm trying to figure out the setup here right now, and it's failing. It's failing me very hard right now.
Let me pull up something here. I'm gonna tell you what my liquid bankroll was because I have a sheet where I have this listed. I'm gonna tell you my listed bankroll was after Black Friday. Liquid bankroll. Let me see. It was 2011, right? Shit, this was. Oh wait, no, that happened before Black Friday. I was busted before.
When you came to my house in Vancouver, that was towards the end of 2011, which was a couple months after Black Fridays, and you came there. So, what was your situation like when you came to my place then?
So this is just liquid, but on February 13th, 2011, I had $8,500
Damn.
total. And then by December 31st, I had
staking me around that same time too for like something.
Yeah, I was probably staking you. But that was low variance, so I knew I was good.
Yeah, that was good. Like, yeah, that's true.
And then by the end of the year, I had 233.3 thousand. So like you can turn it around, man. Like even if like and there are a bunch of swings in here, by the way. At one point I ran up to 80 and then back down to 30. There are some ginormous swings in here. But no matter how bleak it gets, like, if you put your head down, you try your best, you can fight your way out of it.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of I was trying to, a lot of those emotions I talked about in my recent Real Poker Talk videos that a lot of people like. You check them on my YouTube channel. I made one, State of Online Poker's Fucked Up. I made one about when one hand defines your poker session. And I made one more. I can't remember the title of it right now. But yeah, I was kind of trying to channel those emotions that I experienced at that same point in time in my own poker career, sort of the doubt you feel, the am I going to make it? Am I ever going to be able to I'm a winner at this game. Did I make a wrong decision? Did I make a right decision? Like, what am I doing with my life? Trying to channel those emotions I used to feel very strongly and put that into content that I felt that people could understand, could very much relate to. Because, while I think, if people are in positions where been winning at poker for a long time, a lot of people out there aren't necessarily in that position. And a lot of people are struggling to make it. They're trying to make it. They want to be a consistent winner, but they deal with so much sort of emotions that negatively that come from that pursuit. And that's the kind of content I want to talk about because I've dealt with that. I dealt with that extreme over these first couple of years of my own career, trying to, figure out it was kind of probably because I was 24 tabling, to be honest with you. If I played less tables, I probably would have been a bigger consistent winner. But with 24 tabling, breaking even, being a rakeback pro, everybody on the poker table ratings saying that you're fucking shit, you can't win without rakeback, those comments sort of add up and add up and add up, and you start having doubts about yourself. But it turns out if you stop 24 tabling and you start only playing a couple tables, it turns out you're going to do very well. Just a thing for people out there that mass table that I don't think some mass tablers ever really figured out, Doug. They never figured out that you could stop mass tabling, play less tables, focus more, and you'd probably end up being a pretty good winner at the games.
I don't think we see as many mass tablers nowadays that we saw like back in the day, where people were like, I'm gonna like just clock in, play 20 hours, win at one big blind, get my rake back. I don't think it's as much like that nowadays, because people realize that the games are evolving and difficult, and if you do that, you'll fail. But I think that there were a lot of things that helped me kind of manage to turn it around along the way. Uh, and it's never one thing, right? It's never like do this thing and you're good. Everyone always wants like a simple answer, like, oh, so I'm struggling, what should I do? Oh, do this one thing and you're good to go. And that's just not life. Like, life has a lot of difficult things are going to be thrown your way, and sometimes, and this is true, sometimes the shit that's going to get thrown your way is going to be so fucked up you can't even overcome it, right? So not to be a downer here for a moment, but that's the way it works. Nothing has to be fair. No one has to. You don't have to make it at the end. There doesn't have to be the day where you succeed, but that should drive you. That should drive you to make that as likely to happen as possible. Wake up and be like, I'm gonna do something today. So I think I'm gonna be someone today. So I think the first thing is to have that drive to never die, never say I'm gonna give up, never throw in the towel, fight no matter how tough things look. And sometimes that means learning that you're not going to win a battle and going elsewhere. Like I tried to play a bunch of game types I wasn't good at for a long time, and eventually realized that I couldn't do it. I at least at that point in my career, I couldn't make those things work, and I went elsewhere. I found what I could do.
Right.
So I would say like that determination to no matter how tough things get, believe in yourself, and like you are going to fight. You're going to give it everything you have every day to one day be someone. That's the first thing. The second thing is, get rid of things in your life that distract you or hurt you from getting to places that you want to be. And that's not to say you shouldn't have hobbies. I think it's good for everyone to have hobbies, things you enjoy doing. But if certain things are not helping you, or certain pursuits are taking too much time, figure out what's important in your life. Figure out what are the things that are important. So for me, kind of putting those things together, when I was on the brink, I was like, okay, well, I know that what I have to do is hit the limit. I'm wasting my time with all this other stuff. It's how I made my money, a lot of my money. I don't know why I moved over. And then I'm going to just go all in here and play every day until I've either made it or I've not. I'm going to find a way to do my best. And sometimes that means admitting, by the way, that you can't make it. You don't have the chops. You're not able to do it. I was actually like debating going back to school. And if I had failed when I got to Vancouver, I would have gone back to school, because I wouldn't have really had another good option. And I was never going to be one of those guys just like struggling to get by for years and never making it. Right. So, figure out what you're good at, figure out what your skill sets are good at, cut a lot of bullshit out of your life, and then, go all in and give it everything you got. Study, play, see what other people are doing, figure out, poker specific advice, see what good players are doing, copy that. I did a video recently on my channel where I gave like 5 tips for people to get better. And I honestly believe those tips can help people. But the point is, you got to believe in yourself, and you've got to fight to succeed, because everyone is trying to take from you. Poker sites trying to take rake from you. Other players are trying to take your money. Other people are trying to scam you. Other people are trying to keylog your computer. The government is trying to shut agencies down. Some of these poker sites are trying to straight up steal your money. Nobody wants you to win. I hate to break it to you, no one wants you to win. So if you're going to win, you have to be a cut above the rest, but also be making smart decisions in all aspects of your life.
Dare I say GTO?
Dare I say that no limit hold'em is a way of life. It's a way of life, Joey. It's a way of life.
I'm not going to support that. I mean, I get it, but I'm not going to support. I can't really support that. No, I just can't. I really can't. Lee in the chat says, Poppy, tell Doug I took advantage of the 20% discount over an upswing. I picked up some killer merchandise. Bag rig, that's me. Yes, guys. Link in the description. You want to go check out The courses, they're 20% off. I mean, whatever. People always get mad at me because they say that these are basically advertisements for Upswing Poker. And they're not really advertised for Upswing Poker, guys. I've had Doug on my podcast since I began it. Before he started Upswing Poker, when he was just a bad reg, or I guess I think he was a pretty good reg then too, actually. So when he was just a really good reg, I was still doing these pods with Doug. Now Doug just happens to have a training site, and we still do podcasts together. So it's not, I don't know. Some people seem to be upset about that. Doug, where do you feel like your YouTube videos are at right now with things? I seem like right now they've been having this pretty much consistent success for maybe this whole entire year. But do you feel like there's a number, or there's a place you can take it to another level, or do you feel like where you're at right now is sort of where it can be, and just kind of maintaining here, or where do you stand on that right now?
Well, I'm going to be going hard on videos for the next like month or month and a half. A lot of people watch videos for poker in the winter, so it's a good time to be going hard. I've been doing videos daily for a while. Probably going to take this weekend off though, and then I'll be back with some videos on Monday. Yeah, I guess we're going to see what happens, because for a few months I was doing them a little more sporadically. I'm going to try and go hard for the next month and see if I can get some success, kind of like what happened last December. But I don't know, man. I don't exactly know what 2018 is shaping up to look like for me. I don't think that it's impossible that I stop doing some poker videos for a while. Yeah, I could see that happening. I think I could see focusing more on some other things like crypto. But we're gonna see what happens. I don't want to say anything too definitive, because like I don't exactly know what I'm gonna get or what I'm gonna do. But that kind of brings me into the subject. So like we talked a little bit about this in the last pod, but basically like for the last 2 years I've just been going so hard on like promotion, like social videos, streaming, everything, right? And now it's getting to a point where I'm like, okay, well, I'll just kind of take a step back, big picture. Is this what I want to do with my life? Is this the way I want to live, permanently? And I don't know if the answer to that is yes. I also don't know if if the answer to that is no. But I want to maybe take a little bit of time off and get some perspective. So I'll probably take a break from YouTube at least for a few weeks or something in 2018. I guess I just want to try and figure out like what things are really important to me. And like right now, I think, not drinking, spending some time on health, dieting, working out every day, that stuff's really important to me. I have some goals, like I have some places I really want to hit, places I really want to get to. So I'm focusing a lot on that. And I think that's kind of my number one concern. And then after that, obviously upswing poker content, and then YouTube is just not as important as those two other things are to me. So yeah, I guess we're gonna see what happens. Overall, I would say that I think that I've kind of hit a bit of a plateau on YouTube, and I just don't think that there are other new people out there. So it kind of begs the question of like, how good is it to keep making videos? And that's an answer that I'm not entirely prepared to answer yet.
Yeah, it does seem kind of like a plateau has been hit by you, and maybe the idea is then maybe figure out a different type of content you could potentially put out. But I don't know if a new type of content is going to be able to have a bigger appeal, because what's the most popular poker content has always been poker hands. And what else could you do that would be able to get hundreds, thousands plus views on a consistent basis? I don't really know if there's a subject or a type of thing you could do consistently that's going to be able to get those sort of numbers that you've been hitting on a lot of your good videos.
Well, I think the number one video type on my channel pretty consistently, if you just look at like raw views, is actually the news segments. But those require news. Like sometimes like, all right, I haven't done one of these in a week. Let's fire up some breaking news. And I look at all the stories and I'm like, these things are not very interesting, Like breaking news. Phil Ivey signed with Virtue Poker. You know? Or like James Woods and Negreanu bicker on Twitter. Is it really? I don't know. I just feel like sometimes there's not enough news to really go off of. And then after that, I think a lot of the hand reviews are definitely some of the more popular content. Gonna keep doing those for sure, but it's tough, man. It's tough. I wish there were more people that like poker. I wish that there were more people out there.
I think I've been reading a lot of stuff about the media and news in general, and a lot of this stuff doesn't become news until people make it news. So it's kind of like in some in some genres or some niches, things might happen that people might care about, but no one reports it or no one talks about it, so it never becomes anything. And I think, if you kind of just study media and you study how things work in other things, a lot of the reasons in sports things become popular is because they talk about it over and over and over and over and over, and they sort of manufacture a story out of it. And so you mentioned like those ideas, they might not be that big in news for them, maybe, but maybe they would be, or maybe, more people do care about things like that. I actually think that people would really care about the Negreanu James Woods thing and things like that, because those elicit an emotion from both sides. The people who side with Negreanu, the people that side with James Woods, the people that just want to be entertained by that. So I actually think that story is probably a perfect type of story to have a news story about. And even though it's not poker specific, it is involving one of the highest profile people in poker. So I do think that story is, and Virtue Poker, I think that's something too, because it involves Phil Ivey. It involves a potential new cryptocurrency poker site that other pros are involved with. It also ties in with cryptocurrency with yourself too, with which you're focusing on now with with Coin Central and with a lot of the content you're creating too. So I do think a relevant story between one of the most popular poker players and crypto space, and then Negreanu, I think those are actually two literally perfect stories for a breaking news segment, Doug. I don't know, man. I got to disagree on this one. I kind of want to watch the video you're going to make about this now. I want to know more. I want to know more about the crypto poker sites. I got questions. I want to know.
Well, to be fair, I don't know enough about the crypto poker sites to give like a good review of them. But yeah, you know what I mean, though. There's not like infinite news in poker like there is in many other areas, right? So, yeah, I guess like I'm just gonna do a little self reflection. I think coming up in the new year, and figure out what's most important to me, and try and live my life accordingly.
We sound like we're both going through some self-reflection point of life where I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, what do I want to do? What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about this, talk about that. And I think it kind of coincides with, as both of us learn more about what's outside of poker and what other things we might like and enjoy. Even though we both love poker and love talking about it, we're not as driven to continuously get better at it as we once were. And I think that might start to show in terms of our motivation and desire to talk as much about poker.
It's also one of those things where you want to grow as a person in life. You don't want to just be someone that gets stuck doing the same things all the time. You want to take on new challenges. You want to figure out, uh, you know, how can I become a better person? What can I focus on that I think I'm weak in, and also where am I going with my life? So, and by the way, it's also not in a negative way at all. I'm very happy and thankful to be in the position that I'm in, and poker will always be some part of my life. I will always be occasionally playing poker. I'm sure I will always, to some extent, make a poker video every now and then, especially if it's something I want to talk about. Or I can't imagine I'm ever going to miss playing in the World Series of Poker. I'm still going to be a poker player either way. It's just, is it going to be I'm a poker player where I'm like all in on everything, like I've been for the last 2 years, or am I going to be a poker player where I pick my spots more? I play in things I really care about. I make videos when I really care about them. And then I focus more of my time on other pursuits to try and help myself grow as a person. I think that's kind of the question with where I'm at.
Well, I guess we'll see exactly what that answer is coming up here, man. Let's take a couple questions from the chat. Shout out to Wayne Chiang out there. Wayne always showing a lot of love. Remember, I'm live at the bike. He's a play on the show sometime. Big shout out to Wayne. Jack Fleming always showing a lot of love in the chat too. Shout out to Jack. Who else we got? Travis Smith, Tyler Ego. Tyler, you bring up a really great question about that, and I think that's something that I can address in the future as well. Blindside 7-8 on tilt. I don't know, man. Doug, you want to give a shout to anyone? Anybody out there calling your attention, calling your name?
No, man. When I come with the Joey Pod, I leave the shout out to the professionals.
Shout out to Serious. S Malone, why doesn't Doug open a poker site? We kind of talked about that before in the past, right?
Yeah, I think opening a poker site is just too much risk, especially when you're going into a space where a lot of people have already been mobilizing, but also like it's just so competitive that it's a lot of money, a lot of risk, and then sure, yes, big upside if you're successful, but you have to be successful in a pool of many big players. So don't get me wrong, I've considered opening a poker site for a while. In fact, I wish I could open a poker site, but I don't think it's necessarily the smart decision to do at this point in my career.
Doug, do you want to show Instagram your shirt, your Eat Sleep Nolan Hold'em shirt?
Bro,
guys on Instagram, Doug has a new shirt. Eat, Sleep, No Limit Hold'em. You guys can kind of see it. He is supporting the No Limit Hold'em movement. You can check it out. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm trying to, yeah, talk.
Talk. I'm talking right now.
All right, perfect. That looks good. All right, cool.
Nice.
You still been using Instagram at all, Doug? You like Instagram at all?
Instagram's whatevs, bro.
Yeah,
Whatevs.
kind of getting a little over it too, to be honest. I'm not. It's not that fun. I mean, like, I don't really like looking at other people. Like, I really only care what people I really like my friends are doing, and
Yeah.
I try not to. I try not to follow a lot of people, but even like then, I follow a little bit too many people, and I don't really care. It's yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Instagram, but like it's obviously addicting as fuck because you're so used to autopiloting, going to Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not enjoying it really that much anymore.
The only platform I really love is Twitter.
Why do you like?
I like Twitter because, well, for starters, it's where all the poker players kind of like, go to. So it's the poker sphere happens on Twitter, I feel. And then also I'm more of a words guy than a pictures guy.
Guess that makes sense. More of a words guy than a picture guy. All right. Last thing we're gonna talk about is a scorpion. What is a scorpion? What is this about, Doug? You have a scorpion?
Okay. So the other night I was walking Binks to like use the restroom like by my house. And now there are a bunch of scorpions where I live. And they're like smaller, but they actually have like venom, and for smaller dogs they can be pretty deadly, especially if they get them in the nose or eye. It can kill your dog.
Oh.
And so we have a black light that I shine, or Caitlin shines whenever we're taking him out at night because we don't want to get stung by a scorpion. And I took Binks out while Caitlin was in Chicago, and I'm taking him out, and I'm like checking everywhere, and he starts to go, and I flashlight next to him, and I realize there's a scorpion right next to him, like right next to Binks, and if it stings him, like it could be like deadly. So I was like, Binks, and he freaked out, and he like scurried away, but he like scurried kind of like right by the scorpion and like ran to the side, and I like grabbed him, but like it's really scary, man, because like these things are actually like pretty deadly for small dogs, and like it's just right next to him. I don't know. It was scary.
So is there a way to fix this in the future? Is there like a special, maybe like a fenced-in section Binks could go at nighttime to relieve himself, or what can you do to prevent this? What's GTO right now, Doug?
Well, we're working on it. We're getting scorpion spray like to like kill them, and we're working on stuff. But yeah, man, dangerous. I was honestly like really afraid when it happened.
Wow. Well, yeah. I don't know much about scorpions. I did watch a movie called 1922 last night on Netflix, and there was deadly rats in the movie, and it was very hard to sleep afterwards. And I don't know what it is about rats or mice, but they're not really mice, but more rats. They are. I imagine scorpions are a couple notches above rats in terms of how terrifying they might be to sort of see, or to just have near your dog there. So, what do you got planned here, Doug? What do you got planned for this next month coming up?
Well, it's actually good timing because I actually have to run here in a second. I'm going to a Golden Knights game tonight with my family. They're all in town, so we're doing some family stuff.
1:30. I know that. Yeah.
And yeah, what else do I got coming up? Going to Florida in a week to play on Poker Night in America. That should be fun. A lot more videos coming up, and then some family time over Christmas, and going from there.
Well, I like it, man. Guys in the chat, make sure you follow along with Doug on Instagram, Doug Poker, Twitter, or YouTube as well. Myself, I'll be putting up more real poker talk videos on my YouTube channel as well. And besides that, happy Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday. Make sure you guys, check out the 20% off sale on the Upswing stuff. Voila, merchandise, of course. Eat, Sleep, Nolan Hold'em. Nolan Hold'em is the way of life. And that's it, guys. Appreciate all the comments. Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate everybody that tuned in live. We got a lot of hardcores that show up every single time, and much love to all of you. Enjoy your weekend. Get out of line a little bit. Meet a man, meet a woman, have some fun, make a child. Well, let's not make a child. Actually, don't do that. But yeah, that's it. That's what we got. Doug, any last parting words?
That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, Eat, Sleep, No Limit, Hold'em, and vote in the poll. We got No Limit up to 73% over PLO right now. What's important?
All right, Jesus. All right. Take care, guys. Much love. Shout out to the No Limit Hold'em hat right here as well, too. Peace out. What's going on, everybody? We're here. We're live. Welcome. Brand new Poker Live podcast. My name's Sean. Good morning, Chicago Joey. So if you're watching this live or you're watching this today, you guys probably know about what happened last night in Las Vegas. A lot of people got in touch with me. I've been, I wrote something about it a little bit ago, and I've been tweeting about it last night. But I'm in Las Vegas, and yeah, man, it's just pretty wild to see. Pretty wild to to kind of be out here and to be, sitting in my living room last night, looking out my window because I was down the street near where it happened and came back here. And yeah, just watching outside the window, listening to the scanner. And, you hear about things happening like this all over the world, guys. And, I don't know, me, myself personally, I take it in, but I usually try to get past it or block it out because it certainly could be a lot of emotions to deal with. And you try not to make the entire world, you try not to let the world bring you down and let all these things affect you and impact you. And you kind of just try to live your life and live your day. But yeah, man, obviously right now, being close to home and in Vegas, I mean, a place I think a lot of the poker world, really just, I don't know, we connect with Vegas and yeah, so, I'm very excited for this podcast. I've been excited to talk with Stefan for a while now, especially after I had his big Poker Masters run too. So yeah, hopefully for this, for myself and for other people out there who might be feeling some emotion about it or some sadness or something like that, hopefully, this podcast next hour or two, be able to enjoy that and kind of forget about kind of what's happening and just get back to it. So, but yeah, man, joining me today, guys, on the podcast, the young man, he's the new high roller on the scene. He's he final tabled I'm going to call him final tables for the Poker Master, the 5 events, even though it's 4 official and then 1 not official. He beasted those. I don't know how you final table all these back to back. I don't even know if it's possible. I don't know if he runs that well or if he's just one of the best players in the entire world, which I'm sure he is one of the best players in the entire world. But he's a guy that's been around poker for, I think, he's been playing cash games online. I know he's a great online cash game player, and then he cheated on the cash game world for the tournament world. And I don't know if he's happy about that or not, but we're going to find out more. He's a man in the young German crew of people who I sort of all group them all together, but I'm very interested and anxious to learn more about each one of these guys, and especially Stefan. So we're joined by Goose Core, Run Goose Run, Stefan Sontheimer. What's up, Stefan? Welcome to the podcast, man.
Hi there, good to be here.
So Stefan, man. So I guess a lot of people have been asking me, they've been saying, where'd this guy come from, man? Where'd he come from? Who is this guy? Is he a German bot? Is he a real person? How did he start playing 50K rollers, 100K rollers? Kind of, I guess, give people a little bit of backstory about yourself in terms of how you got to this point where you're winning every single high roller event that's happening right now.
Well, pretty easy, actually. You just need to have a German passport and ask for staking, and you will be fine. No, it's obvious. I'm a real person. You've seen me on stream, so I do really exist. Sitting here right now, I'm from a very, very small village in the Black Forest from Germany. I grew up there. Started poker when I turned 20, something like that, like all those other guys, playing for a couple of pennies, and then climbing my way up the cash games. And as you said, finally I got rid of those, or still play sometimes, but I figured out that tournaments are way softer, and Stars helped me to get rid of playing cash games a little by not having reg back anymore. So I decided to see the world and join some of my friends, cruising around and playing some of those high roller events.
Yeah, so when you stopped playing as much cash games, I think you were playing 10, 20, 25, 50, right, on Pokerstars?
Yeah, I played pretty much all kinds of stuff, but I feel like I was a little too late for the real monies. So I played lots of Zoom 500, Zoom 1K, NL2, 10, 20, 25, 50, occasionally a little higher, but those games weren't running that often. So it was more of the typical bum hunt. I never had one of those scripts, so I was always too late. Sometimes in the late nights, I could fight for open seating and getting some spots. But the main money was made on just like 8 tabling Zoom and stuff like that, and going for the rake back grind.
So basically, you decided that, okay, I'm playing these cash games, I'm 8 tabling Zoom, I'm doing some bum money, but at the same time, when you don't have a script, you're not really bum money. You are in some ways, but you do got to battle to compete. The only way you're going to make money is if you play in some non-GTO lineups, or you play out of position against the fun players, or you play in the games with tougher regulars without those scripts. And I think on one hand, that makes you maybe less money in the immediate short term, but you do end up building a lot of skills and a lot of ability that you might not otherwise build had you had that script. Because I know for myself, thinking back on the many years, I guess in these years past, my decision to either get a script or not get a script, I always decided, you know what, I'm never going to script. I'm never going to get a seeding script. I'm just going to, if I'm going to play, I'm going to put myself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to play in games. And that means if I have to start games, if I have to play three-handed, if I have to play out of position against a fun player, if I have to play with tough regulars, I'm either going to win that way or I'm going to fucking go broke and have to drop down. So I think on one hand, yeah, that it's more of a challenge, but I think in the long run, it just, you build up some skills and abilities that are going to last you for a long time, and you become a better player because you have to become a better player to survive rather than just erode your skills. And I think when seed scripts came out, I said a lot of these guys that are using it can be around in a couple of years. You're just not going to be around. You're just getting progressively worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually, everyone's going to have a script, and then you got to compete with those guys. So you're probably finding that grind very beneficial now, especially as you go to tournament world. And I'm sure you're saying like, wow, these tournaments are slightly different playing field, slightly different playing field and competitions than the cash game grind on Pokerstars.
Yeah, it's definitely all of that is true. So I was always trying to make some money, but like even I felt like spending $500 a month per site for a script. I felt like no, that's not something I want to do. Not even for the battling kind of reasons that I want to be like the Fedor type of thing. I want to be the best in the world and battle the best in the world. That was not it. But it's just like there were like not many spots showing up like every now and then, so I didn't feel like it's worth it. I was wrong. Now I know that, but yeah, still like prepares really really well. And yeah, as you say, like I think I'm one of the guys that made lots of fun of the tournament world, and I still recommend so many players to lay drag a little, and not show up early because it's just better for them. But yeah, it helps you a lot. I mean, I've had so many spots battling out with like really good drags. That helps nowadays. Obviously, that I'm actually I'm not really afraid of any lineup you can find out there in the tournaments. That's a good thing, I guess.
I mean, I think that's a fucking amazing thing, dude. Especially as you're playing against Poker Masters, you're playing against some players who are considered some of the best players in the world, who have some of the most experience. And you yourself, I mean, if you're used to battling guys who've been some of the biggest winners at online poker cash game hold'em on Pokerstars the past 5 years plus, you're used to battling with these guys on a daily basis, playing thousands of hands with them. I mean, that comfortability and confidence you have in your own self to be able to just make smart decisions like that's just huge. And obviously you need some variance, you need some run good on your side too, but the combination of everything kind of can potentially come into a perfect storm of events. And it seems like that's sort of what happened with you this year. When was like the first time that you decided to play a high roller? Were you just like, okay, like did the young Prince Fedor say, hey, why don't you try out this 50K? Let's sell some action. And then you sold, like, how exactly did that happen? Because I remember earlier this year you had a pretty big score. I think it was one of the Asian tours, something of that nature.
That was all last year. I was never the guy like I want to be out there. I want to play the highest tournaments in the world. That was pretty much Fedor telling me you got to play that. I was never one of those overconfident guys that is telling everyone. I want to make sure that I beat someone before playing him. And that was the same with the tournaments. I know that I wasn't the best short stack yet. I started playing sit and goes online to get better there, and all that. And he kind of forced me. I think it was 2016. I was sitting in Brighton where I lived back then. I was pissed by the shitty weather and the surrounding. And Rainer Kempe asked me to come with him to Miami. I'm not even sure. Fedor was there as well, and there was a 25K. That was like the first high roller. I was like, okay, Miami 25K. It's a lot of money. I'm not really sure, but I've seen those people playing that, and I felt I could beat them. So I jumped in there, and that was like my first real high roller, and I think I cashed that one, and from there on, I was kind of hooked, and felt like, yeah, no way, I'm not beating those guys. So I got to keep the grind going.
Then when you played the first one, you said, "Oh, that's what Fedor's talking about." Oh, okay. Now I understand where he's coming from. He's hearing me and seeing me talk about battling mid and high stakes cash, and he's like, "Dude, come on, what are you doing?" And you're like, "No, no, 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 I'm good." And then you play, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
It's Miami. Miami's special. We all know about that, right? There were like some guys showing up late and telling the story how like he's pissed by his helicopter pilot because he's just late because of him and like stuff like that. That was not my world before. Yeah, as I said, I'm from a small village. I have my friends there, and we play soccer every now and then and have a couple of beers. It's not that kind of high roller world. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, Miami is a very special place for many reasons. Not only for the kind of characters you see that come up from Miami and come up from who knows. I don't know what they're doing there. Allegedly, I don't want to get into what they might be doing there. But some of these guys that do play some of the high stakes tournaments and cash games there, colorful characters, no doubt about it. Colorful characters. So I guess from that point in time, did you just focus on tournaments from them, or were you still mixing in the cash games too? Kind of. So when you decide I probably should play more of these, what's your process like after that?
Um, yeah, played all kinds of stuff. So what I decided was pretty much to move away from Brighton because I didn't like it too much and to enjoy life a little more, which means on the one hand, traveling to places I like, and on the other hand, keeping the mix going. It's like I don't like the term burned out, but I wasn't like too thrilled for playing cash games anymore. So I like it after like 3 weeks traveling on the live tour. I'm thrilled for playing online cash game again. And then I got into sit and goes, and I like playing those a lot because they have so many different stages, and it's just so interesting to think about different stages. And then like when you play another like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of online poker again, you get motivated for life stuff again. So I want to keep the mix going, travel to places I like, and yeah, I think I've done a good choice there.
I got to say that for me, there's no better way to get motivated to play online poker than going to play a couple live sessions. So
Yeah.
whenever I feel like I'm burnt out on online poker playing, I just walk down to the casino, I drive to the casino, get a game in, and I come back and I'm like, man, I'm ready to play online because it's so damn slow. It's never been the reverse where I go play online and then I say, man, I really want to go play one table down at the casino. It's never happened to me somehow, but I can understand, especially if you're playing maybe some high rollers or something like that. I can understand the desire and the excitement to want to get back to that and to start playing that too.
I mean, I guess you know what I'm talking about when I tell you that after returning to Germany from the Poker Masters, um, I I went to bed early. The one day I had breakfast with my parents, and then I got nothing to do. I mean, my friends are working at 11 a.m. Obviously, the first thing I was doing is opening Pokerstars and clicked some buttons on Zoom 500. Just because I got nothing to do and I was like kind of into it. I felt like, well, it's time to click some buttons after playing like gazillion hours of live poker. And a gazillion hours means we probably played like 1,200 hands in this week, or I don't know, maybe even less. I have no clue. But yeah, getting in 500 hands in half an hour feels good again.
So Caleb Trotter in chat says, how many hands of NL 500 Zoom have you played? What do you think your lifetime number of hands played is there?
Good question. I don't know, 2.5, 3 million maybe.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 million. Okay.
Something like
that.
That
makes sense. A lot of hands, no doubt about it. You're definitely, you're definitely a grinder. And I think I mean, just having that ability to compete at the mid stakes and to be able to have the work ethic to play that many hands. I mean, that's sort of a recipe for success in any area that you go into, whether it's poker or something else. And I mean, I do find it interesting that a guy from the cat, because I don't think really a lot of people right now that are competing on the high roller circuit. I mean, I guess that, like, I don't know how much like Hollywood Haxton is really grinding the circuit for the most part. Obviously, he's been showing up now for some of the Poker Masters and some of the other high stakes ones. But, I think they're just the edge that, and you'll be able to tell me that, I think the edge that a guy like yourself has of just playing so many hands at the cash games and then going to tournaments, I just think it's very, very huge. But a lot of people don't want to quit playing cash games, especially when they're playing higher stakes. When they're playing the 50 to 100 regularly now for a couple of years, they say, well, tournaments might be soft, but there just aren't enough of them. So I'm going to keep focusing on cash games. Whereas for you, it seems like you really kind of have just said, I'm going to focus more on getting better at tournaments. And it seems like the opposite. So you built up this ability in cash, and now you're building up the ability and really focusing on getting better at tournaments.
Yeah, like for me, there's like this ability of being good in tournaments does not really exist because tournaments are just a big mix of different areas. So I see tournaments as some kind of decathlon, if that is a word. That there are like so many. It is. It's like from what is it? Like where you have to do 10 different things.
Multitasking. No.
No. Where it's what is Leichtathletik? Athletics, track and field, something like that, where you have to run, you have to jump, you have to
like a triathlon or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a decathlon is 10 things.
Oh,
right?
decathlon. I was like,
all right, there we go. That's what I'm talking about, and I think like for being good in those tournaments, you have to master every discipline. So and that's what lots of people are not doing. So you have to be good with deep stack, chip EV poker. You have to be good with mid stacks. You have to be good with short stacks. You have to be good with ICM, and then final table and bubble is a whole different thing. And what I feel like the live circuit out there, no one is really practicing all that stuff. I mean, there are the really good cash game players. Well, they play Omaha nowadays and then come back for the live tournaments because they are good enough, obviously. Then there are the so-called tournament players, which is just another term for people not working hard. So then there's like, I don't know, people that have a sit and go background. Then there are people that played some cap games and are good with short stacks, chip EV. But I miss those guys that are like using online as a good tool for practicing. I don't see anyone else who's sometimes playing the toughest cash games, then open sitting the toughest sit and goes, and then like playing some short stack cap games or whatever. So I feel like I would never say that I'm like one of the best in either of those categories, but like being somewhat near the top in all of those is what makes you like a really good tournament player. And I feel like this is where like Fedor had his biggest edge like 1 year ago, being good at every single stage. And actually, I feel like there are not too many players around that are super comfortable with like every single stage of a tournament. And yeah, I had my weaknesses in the short stack, and I feel like I got over them, and I'm kind of confident with like every single stage that might come up.
Thomas in the chat said, what do you think the most common mistake you see MTT rigs do?
Grinding, not working, grinding, and the big 55 on a Sunday. Like, I mean, most of the MTT regs, they are okay with 40 bigs and less. They never played cash game. Like, I don't know how much they are losing when they join early and play 200 bigs deep. I mean, they are horrible, all of them.
Tournament players are listening to this right now. They're getting fired up, Stefan.
Yeah, I mean, I have a cash game background. They could expect that, so they got to live with that.
I mean, I guess, after you take down Pokermaster, where do you kind of, like, where did the motivation go from there? Because now I don't know, it seems like you played 5 events, you made 4 final tables, you almost made the 5th one, basically. You win the entire event. Now what? Is it just like you want to just stay at this high point, or do you go back home to Germany and you sort of say, well, I've had success at cash, I've had success at tournaments. Well, now what do I do? So, like, where does your mindset sit right now with the future of poker for you?
Well, I guess that got a lot to do with the goals you set yourself before. And my goal was never to win the Pokermasters or like any big series. So my main goal was just like traveling around, making some money, and enjoying life as much as possible. So and I think I just got one step closer because traveling around right now is even more fun. Like getting the respect from all the guys, getting sent some trophies over to my place. That's fun too. And yeah, so actually nothing changed too much. Right, I made a bunch of money. Maybe I think I had the respect before from like the inner high roller world. Maybe it's now got a little more from the bigger part of the poker world. But yeah, I'm looking forward. 2 weeks a flight to Macau. This will be lots of fun. Like poker wise, life wise, I'm not sure yet. I will have lots of good food, but I'm not sure whether they have pool parties there like in Vegas. But yeah, we'll see. And yeah, from there, what's next? There's WSOP Europe, and yesterday I shipped the package for the Party Poker Caribbean thing. I will just play 1 or 2 events there and hang around at the beach, enjoying life. That's the main plan.
We got my buddy W Coop main event champion, the guest that'll be on this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, Steven Van Zadelhoff in the chat. He says, question, who is the better of arm wrestling, you or Steven?
Arm wrestling? Steven against me?
Yeah.
I don't even have arms. That's a stupid question. Obviously, Steven.
Maybe hit the gym in some of this downtime here, Poppy. Maybe get.
I know that's one, like, no gyms for me. I do every single sports you can find out there, but sports for me is only when you can win. So there must be some kind of score sheet, and there are no score sheet. I mean, you can keep track of like weights or numbers of repetitions you do and stuff, but this is not the real motivation for me. I like to play soccer. I like to play tennis, volleyball. I would even try American football, basketball, or crazy stuff you have over there. But no gym. Sorry.
No gym.
I will take Steven in pretty much any real sports.
Bang bang. Okay. You gotta get him fired up, man. What if the price is right though? What if there's a prop bet where you're trying to beat somebody and it has to do with something gym related?
Well, okay. If the price is right, I might hit the gym, but it must be a good price. So it's a mix of like, it's same with poker trips. It's a mix of dollar EV and life EV. Like for going to Australia, I don't need good tournaments for being there. I will still go there because it's just so much life EV. For going to Vegas, I need good tournaments. For going to Macau, I need exceptionally good tournaments. So it's like the mix, and then same for the gym. If you pay me an insane amount of money, I will even do things that are no fun EV for me. So yeah, you can get me, but it's expensive.
Now, I was thinking about this. Obviously, a lot of people talk about who are these German guys? Where did the German crew come from? You got the Fedor bots and that kind of stuff. How much do you think that having that group of friends around, these other guys who you guys been close now for a while, and you obviously talk a lot of poker. You have some very great poker minds in there. How important do you think that's been for the success that you and maybe some other guys in that group have had?
I mean, the group is like a key factor. Obviously, I think that like the core team met, like everyone knows the story because Fedor was on here like a gazillion times. Like when we met back for grinding Scoop in Canada, there was like Reiner, Ben CB, Fedor, myself. Some others, don't want to list all because then I might miss someone. So yeah, now it's like Dominic and Christian and Stefan joining. Yeah, it's I mean, I guess everyone growing up has like this kind of crew, and the German one is kind of special because I feel like the backing system for high rollers is like the German one, with like having lots of people that have the money and are willing to stake people, is just the best in the world, I would say. So that's just like when you look at the US or other countries, they have like crews like that as well, but maybe only 1 or 2 or 3 of them are playing those high rollers. And for us, it's easy for everyone to get in those high rollers when like the backers think they beat it. So it's yeah, like everyone is pretty rational, not thinking about the money too much. Like, okay, I can play 10Ks, but I cannot play 50Ks. If the field is good, why not? So yeah, and obviously that helps a lot if you have 5, 6, 7 players in there just for exchange, just yeah, trading information a lot. Just it's. I mean, I had it on in another interview. Someone asked me like, how often did you change your game while playing Poker Masters because you got new information every day? And I told him, well, that's not really true because I had information. I played the same guys over and over again, maybe like 50 tournaments. And if you combine it with all the informations the others have that share their information with me, it's like probably 300 to 500 tournaments. So what should one single tournament change now for like the state of information I have? And I guess this is the main key. That I mean, I guess we know more or have more reads on every single player out there than those players have on every single one of us just because of gathering information.
So it kind of sounds like you're saying that. I mean, I guess in a way, it sounds like you're saying that there probably isn't that same thing going on in other groups, and it may be the other groups of people, the Americans, or for the most part, I don't know. It seems like in terms of young people or like bigger groups, there's basically the Germans, and it doesn't seem like there are other groups of people right now for whatever reason, whether that's because taxes, whether that's because, obviously I'm sure finding backer, which, I talk about being, I think finding backing is one of the most, I guess, like, people know about it, but they don't actually know how important it is for certain people out there or certain people to have high stakes success, whether it's at cash or whether it's at tournaments. Finding backing is a very, 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 very important skill to have for a lot of people out there. And, you kind of wonder, and some people discussed this, on Twitter when I posted about it, was that why don't we really see young groups of American players playing some of these high rollers? Why don't they exist? For the most part, the Americans that are playing now, there's been a couple new guys that have came up, but I don't know how closely connected they are with anyone else. And there's been the old guard that have kind of been there for a while, and they came from online, or they came from the high stakes cash world. And why do you think that there is this, the German group, but there really aren't any other groups that are out there?
Well, first of all, to get backing, you need to prove yourself at some point, right? So for US players, it's very difficult because they cannot really play online. And what does like a live poker resume tell us? Like pretty much nothing. He might win a couple of WSOP circuit events, but does that make him a very good poker player? I'm not sure. And yeah, in Germany, there's like, I think Fedor had very big influence on that. There was this big backing crew before, where Fedor just like knocked on their door till he was allowed to play all that kind of stuff. And then you need someone who's vouching for you. I mean, every one of us had like more or less good results online, so there was kind of a proof. And if you have like 2 or 3 people telling those people that have all the money that you are really good, well, that worked out for us. I guess like this, yeah, it's like I think of the Spanish. They have Sergio and Adrian, and there might, if they had like a bigger backer behind it or more money behind, they could easily find like 2, 3, 4 people joining those high roller this high roller circuit as well. I would assume. Well, Canadians, they are grinding all the EPT, and they have a good crew as well, but they can't play in the US, which is obviously a big problem for them. But yeah, I guess that's the main thing.
Shout out to Luce Leon out there, by the way. I know Luce Leon was very excited for what was happening with that 100K Poker Masters when he was playing on the Party Poker High Roller game. I think he said in the chat, I was doing commentary during that game, and I said, "Oh, Leon must be tilted right now if you lost that hand." He's like, "How can I be tilted? I got top 4 right now." I said, "Okay." I said, "Hey, Luce Leon's feeling good right now." So shout out to Luce Leon out there, and yeah, man. WSOP Europe's coming up soon. Make sure you guys check it out. Natalie's in the chat. Natalie Hoff, a fellow German. You know Natalie? Are you familiar with Natalie, Stefan?
Yeah. Well, we didn't have to do too much together, but I think we've been on the same plane to or from Vegas and have been hanging around there. And I know her, obviously.
Shout out to Natalie.
Not sure how much she knows me, though.
Well, now maybe that's why she's in the chat right now. She's getting to know you right now, Poppy. She want to learn more about Stefan. Everyone likes a winner. I'm telling you, man. I remember when you're winning, your Twitter followers are rising up. People are, all of a sudden, your joke's a little bit funnier. All of a sudden, your sarcastic things you're saying on Twitter getting a little bit more engagement. People are like, haha, this guy's funny. Everyone likes a winner, Poppy. So now when you're in this position, and now you're getting a lot of, getting a lot of attention from people, getting a lot of people, I'm sure, wanting to be your friends or want to talk with you. How do you deal with that? How do you think about that? Because I'm sure it's happening right now, and if it's not happening right now, it's only going to get bigger and bigger. I'm sure you see what happens with Fedor. Everyone wants to be friends with Fedor now. So
it has been fine so far. I think I've been friends with the most part of the poker world anyway so far, or like the poker world that is closer around me. And well, there was like one thing I had to think about this week, that there were like a couple of people that asked for an interview or podcast and stuff like that. And I obviously had to go with you, and I was on did something else, and I will do one thing for Germany, but I showered the Pokerstars.tv, and so there was like some stuff like that to think about. Like I don't want to be that that kid that just wins something and then shows up for every single interview out there and maybe is on a downswing later on and is gone forever. So it's like, it's fine. It's like, so far my life didn't change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see it with Fedor now. You know what I mean? He goes to these places, man. He got a lot of people wanting to be friends, and Fedor. I think we kind of go back to a point I made before, which is that why are the Germans kind of how they are right now? And I do think Fedor had a big impact on that. I think Fedor just was all about networking. He was all about getting in touch with people. He was all about finding all these new opportunities out there, because we see he has other motivations in his life, not just poker. He wants to be Elon Musk, or I always thought he was going to run a country at some point in time. I'm still convinced he's going to run a country. And I've been convinced about that for first time we had him on the podcast. So I do think someone like Fedor, and kind of, you mentioned having that, he vouched for everybody else in the group and beyond. It's like a combination of so many things. I don't know if it's replicable. I don't know if it can really happen. And then you mentioned the proving grounds, and that's a big thing. You know, some people were joking, America's Card Room is harder than Pokerstars. First of all, let's get fucking real, guys. America's Card Room and Ignition, it's a different fucking planet, all right? I don't know who's saying things like that. I can't take anyone seriously. You lose all credibility with me if you say a comment like that. That's not true. So, but if you play on ACR, are you having trouble in the ACR games, or I don't know.
I played this morning. Well, and I have some Bitcoins because I played ACR last year and had to cash out via Bitcoin, so that went quite well. I made some money on ACR so far. It's beatable before rakeback.
You sure? I don't know. You positive? Americans are on that site.
I mean, it's tough for the others because I'm open sitting there sometimes, you know. So they can come and try. Like, just a few guys I'm not playing, they can stay away. That's okay. But yeah, like every American listener is allowed to join ACR, and like, you'll find me on Heads Up probably.
So I don't know if I saw this correctly or not, but yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before, Sam Turk had posted a screenshot on Twitter. And it looked like you were playing the great game of Omaha 5100. Was that you, or was it someone else?
That wasn't me. My name is got nothing to do with Goose on Party Poker, unfortunately. I'm not playing the great game. I'm sorry.
Maybe that's the next challenge for you. As you've had success at the Cash No Limit tournament, No Limit. Have you thought about playing maybe some more great game of Omaha 4 cards instead of 2?
I thought about it, but I really like being good at something, you know, and like giving up playing a game that you're good at for playing a game that you are shit at. I like playing Omaha for fun. Home game Omaha is great for home games, but I won't play it on 100, 200, or anywhere close.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good point. I'd probably stick to Nolan Home if I were you too, because I feel like, I mean, you know, when you think about the success you had at the Poker Master event specifically, how much do you think that's contributed to you just running exceptionally well, your ability? Because to make that many final tables, have that kind of success, like, obviously you got to run well too, but how much do you credit that to running well?
Well, I played 7 tournaments in that week. Don't forget about second bullets. I busted 2 times. So I cashed 4 out of 7 tournaments I played, and the other one I bubbled. This is obviously pure luck. I guess I had, like, if you compare all the players, I had one of the higher EVs to have a good run, but that's all I can do. So as much as I was complaining about running bad the last year, where I didn't cash any of the high rollers pretty much, I won't go crazy this year, because it's like I don't do too much different. I just don't lose every single flip. I'm still actually, yeah, I still go with just a 94 out of 100, because I have seen sicker things before. I think I never got it in with like pair under pair and getting there, like some other friends of mine do, like, occasionally. So I still wait for that one drop run, but yeah, we'll see. I'm waiting for this was a 94. I wait for the 99 or the 100 if that is possible.
Okay, don't get greedy. Don't get greedy over there, man. You know what I mean? You gotta maybe never win another high roller again. Now you never know. Maybe you could go. You could be, because you've seen how Fedor is now. Fedor is regarded as one of the top, poker players in the entire world of all time by some people out there, and that type of run is possible if you have that type of skill and you have that type of variance on your side. It certainly is possible to get to that point, and it sounds like that's the point you want to get to. In that now you've had that success, but at the same time you're still hungry to have more. You're still hungry to be maybe considered the top player, the top tournament player, the top Milliman Hold'em player in, I guess, in the world.
Well, try to still increase my chance. I just put out the randomizer. The first number I got is a 95, so it's possible. Next one is a 7. I bust first orbit. That sucks, but it's possible. 69 might be a min cash. There we go. Yeah.
So how much do you think Fedor becoming an entrepreneur has allowed you to have the success? Because maybe if Fedor was still around, he would be taking up all that crew run good. And now that he's sort of putting that towards priming his mind and priming other people's minds out there, now you're able to sort of step in and take over that mantle.
Well, as I said, I don't believe in that too much. It's tough. It got tough over the years or over the month. But yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to flip against him yet. So there was like Monaco this year was pretty sick. I think he like in Monaco he staked me for every single of the high rollers. I fired a total of 6 bullets in the 25k plus, and he busted me in 5 of those. So I mean, he busted his own money. That's fine for me, but that was pretty sick. Like losing every single flop. Him like getting all the 20 BB, he hits a set, I hit the top pair things. So I'm not ready for that. I was happy that other people took care of him. Like when Christian was flipping against him in the 100k in the end, I was so happy to not be the guy in Christian's shoes, like flipping against Fedor. Remember maybe the Pokermasters number 2? There was 5 left, I guess, or 5 left, 4 left, and Christian had that big flip against Fedor, Ace King versus Jacks, and everyone on the table already discussed like what are the real odds. I mean, it was like Fedor had like 44% equity or something, and the table was like maybe it's like between 60 and 70, and then like in the next break, I talked to the other to all the others that were already playing event number 3 in the main room, and they were like, yeah, we were having side bets on how the flip ends, and everyone wanted to take Fedor's 44% side, obviously, and yeah, good choice. So there's some run good in my mind that I don't want to battle against, but yeah, wouldn't say that I'm happy that he's just priming his mind. It's fun traveling with him as well, and he sticks to playing some high rollers, which is fine.
Yeah, he hops in there once in a while, and obviously we saw he had success at this year's Poker Masters. What did you think about the way that was structured with the 5 events? Because you did very well in those first 4 events, but you still needed to do very well in the 5th event, and then certain people needed. I think actually the first place, they most likely would have won the overall Poker Master with how it was structured. So as somebody playing in that, what do you think about the way the point system worked out for it?
Well, I would have chosen a different system. Like disregarding my results there. If I make the series, it's definitely a different system. It was just like the fact that people treat it so differently. I knew before. I just looked at it, and it's quite obvious that most probably the guy who is winning the 100k is winning the jacket. Was quite obvious if there's nothing weird or super run good happening before. So even going into the 100k, I still, it's easy to make the numbers. I had like 10 to 15% equity because for me, like with that good run, min cash might have been enough if someone wins who didn't cash before. But I was still like a 10 to 15%, let's call it favorite to win that jacket. But media and everyone there treated me as like being the big favorite, and they made me like they tried to make me feel like I win that jacket 80% plus. So I guess lots of those guys are kind of happy that I won it in the end, because just let's take the example of Seth Davies, who didn't play the first 4 50Ks, wins the 100K. Like if he can't make that King's Hero fold, he might win in the end, and yeah, that would be a little stupid for like the whole media treatment for the first four events. And yeah, I myself, I didn't care too much. I thought the system is kind of stupid, but I knew it before and didn't expect anything else. So I never thought like I could win the jacket until we were like 6 left on the final table, something like that.
Yeah, I think that most people that I talked to and that I read about, they kind of agreed with that. That kind of happened to work out correctly. But to me, it seems like if somebody has the success they had in the first 4 events, and you mentioned, Seth didn't even play the first 4 events. If that person to win its series is kind of like, maybe something needs to change for that. And I know it's the first year, and I think it is something that could go on for a long time. And obviously, it's got to feel pretty cool to say, "Hey, I won the first event."
I hope so.
For the purple jacket, are you planning to wear this purple jacket around? Are you going to go wear it to Macau? Like, are you going to play with it? What are you going to do with the purple jacket here?
Well, actually, I don't have it yet. So this one was obviously way too small because they made it Fedor size, which was a smart move beforehand, I guess. So they still have to take measurements and stuff. But I left Vegas right the next day, so there was no time for that. This designer guy is sitting in LA. I won't be there. I'm not sure whether it's smart to go to someone here and get the numbers, because they will for sure mess it all up with like your inches and stuff. I guess I'll just ask those guys in December how we want to do it. I will be back in Vegas in December, and I've no plans for it so far. I guess I kind of have to wear it on day 1 of the Super High Roller Ball next year. But yeah, that's the plans. That's the plan so far.
I think I would just wear it everywhere, man. I don't know. Like, I'd wear it around. Once I got it, I'd wear it as my regular jacket. I'll wear it as
for the grind back home, obviously. This is a different thing. Wearing boxer shorts and a jacket, that's it. That's the perfect Sunday grind outfit. Like 100%. This is a great scoop outfit.
Yeah.
But yeah, out there, I'm not sure. I listened to Brandon Adams' podcast. He got asked for what to wear with a purple jacket. I'm not into that stuff too much, so I guess I go with his recommendation. Get like nice white pants, something lighter colors, warmer colors for like a shirt, and this will work out quite fine. Maybe I'll find a spot to wear it someday, for sure in the 300K.
I kind of like the idea of you just posting pictures of you in your boxer shorts, just playing online poker with the purple jacket on all the time. You kind of you might as well play it up a little bit. You seem like you have a pretty good sense of humor as well too. So maybe that could be one of your things where you just post yourself in the purple jacket doing all sorts of regular sort of daily things. But
I like that a lot. I like it.
Why not?
Yeah. Oh, let's get up. Let's have a coffee. Oh, see it. Oh, it's just a purple jacket. No big deal. Yeah, I like that.
He says, I see in your Twitter bio you like steak. Where have you had the best steak of your life, and what was it?
Best steak? Oh, there's no, like, the best steak in my life, I guess I had back home on my barbecue when I prepared it myself, because it tasted even better. But restaurant-wise, in Vegas, I liked SLS Meat Bazaar a lot. There was another one this year, but I forgot the name because it was just Dominic Nietzsche taking us there, and I didn't take care of anything. I liked, what was that called? It was in Melbourne. There was like I like the non-fancy places, like the 9 out of 10 food, or 10 out of 10 food, and 2 out of 10 fanciness, which comes along with like not being super expensive most of the time. There was one that was just like, felt like you go to your grandma and she's just putting something on the table, like some kind of salad, some kind of side. You go for it, and then you can choose a super nice steak. I think I've been there twice in Melbourne this year. I will look up which one that was. I will tweet it out for you. I will recommend that one.
Dominic in the chat says Craft Steak in Vegas, which is at the MGM, and Vlados in Melbourne.
Yeah, Vlados. It's Vlados. Thanks, Dom. I like that a lot. We'll go there in January, 100%.
A couple guys in the chat are asking about Phil Hellmuth. Obviously, you and Phil Hellmuth played a bunch there. Phil Hellmuth, very well known for his white magic play and very unorthodox style and his approach to poker. What do you think about Phil Hellmuth, rather, his poker level, and what do you think about the overall experience of playing with him and sort of his table talk and the way that he acts when he's playing?
Well, first of all, I like Phil a lot. No, okay. Yeah, as I said, Phil is a tournament player, and to start with something good, right? That's fair enough. He does one thing right, as I said before already. He's late registering to the tournaments. Right? This increases variance and reduces negative edge, so that's great. Um, well, if you go to the other disciplines of no limit hold'em tournament poker, um, it's tough to find good words about his 10 BB game. It's tough to find good words about his 20 or 40 BB game, in theory wise. And then I'm not really sure what white magic is exactly. If it's like talking a lot when you face a bet and then fold the best hand, this works out perfectly. This is something he does super well. And like blowing up after getting shown like random shit, that's great as well. But the other parts, I'm not really sure about. So I like him talking at the table a lot. I think it's way more fun having him on the table watching. And yeah, obviously he's got his results. They speak for him. No doubt about that. But yeah, as Fedor said, I'm ready to play him over and over and over again.
I see. So you disagree with me that when I say that I think Phil Hellmuth is one of the best poker players in the entire world, and he's doing something right that other people just don't pick up on, and the white magic that he implements is actually indirect genius, judging by the results and his ability to continue playing. You disagree with that, correct?
Well, I don't like the term best poker player in the world, because poker is such like it's a way bigger thing than just no limit hold'em tournament poker. That's why I divide it into like lots of fields, and I feel like I can judge smaller fields way better. And as I said, all right, like it's just the two of us talking right here. He is shit with 10 BB and with 20 BB. Um, and like maybe with 40 BB and no limit hold'em as well. But there's way more for a poker player. Like he's bringing fun to the table. He has results. He might be good in all the other games where I don't even know the rules of. So obviously he's the way greater poker player, if you take that term, than me. I just play one game out of a gazillion, and he won in all those games something. Not just something, like bracelets and all other kinds of shit. Um, so yeah, but I'm pretty sure in the mentioned small areas, I'm a little better.
Hmm. I don't know, man. Phil might have something to say about that. So shout out to Phil. You might hear about that. A couple guys are asking about who you think some of the best tournament players are right now. So when you go into that field, and I think we all see the big names in there, and we sort of think they're all really good. But who do you think are some of the better players who are doing things, I guess, better than other players are right now?
Well, it's tough again to have like that overall view. So I would like to put that down like into pieces that I like. Obviously, when we start the tournament, I don't want to sit next to Ike. I don't want to sit next to Ben 86 and like the deep stack cash game players. When I sit there with 15 big blinds and there is a final table, I don't want to sit next to Reiner Kempe, or I don't want to sit next to who is good short. Like lots of people, and in between, I don't want to sit next to fucking Christian Christner and Dominic Nietzsche that go berserk every single hand. Yeah. So, like overall, I mean, just follow what were my picks? Just follow the draft. It was on Daniel Negriano's Twitter. Like the names that got picked first there. This is, I mean, like just have a look at those drafts. That's super interesting. Which people get picked first? I think it was, what is the draft like? Adrian picked himself first. Lots of respect for Adrian. He's like as well as good, super good overall, and he's like he knows how to go crazy and how to play spots in the field. Was Bryn took he's like I don't want to go to the streets with Bryn. I like when we play a lap game and I don't have to sit across him at the table. I can play with Bryn, but in the streets, like no way. Um, then I picked myself. Fedor was next, and then was like a bunch of German picks picked next. That is a pretty good ranking. Not don't want to give out my personal ranking, but just check out the drafts, and whatever you comes up there is quite close to what people think nowadays.
Did you get a chance to play with Doug Polk at all?
Yeah, we played. He got the quads against me. He busted me, or not? He didn't bust me, I guess, but he won the big pot there. We played the one final table, and we played one time final two, and I busted him in the 100K.
Hmm.
So
What do
we
you think
played
about
some
his play
hands.
overall? Obviously, Doug's got the heads up, no limit background online. Not really known necessarily, even though he's had some success in tournaments. Shout out to the one drop. What do you think about his ability at the at the tournaments?
Well, again, like he got some strengths. Like in some parts, he's really good, but I would assume he got some weaknesses as well. I can't tell him here. He got to pay lots of money that I tell him those. Um, yeah, let's go with the term average reg. I guess that's a good one.
Average reg. Okay. Do you feel like somebody like Doug is going to be plus EV in the events like that went on? Because the events seemed like they had all regulars for the most part. There were some. I don't know if there were any like massive fun players in that specific one, but do you feel like someone like him is going to be plus EV in that, or maybe not?
I would buy him at face. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I mean, he has to pay back if he misses hands because of logging. I guess that's not okay if he sells shares to me. So that's
Yeah,
the only thing.
I believe he did miss a hand or two. I think.
Yeah, but it was just the
So,
final table. Well, it wasn't a big deal. No.
yeah. Do you watch a lot of the vlogs? Do you ever think about doing one yourself? I know Fedor just started a video blog series too. When he was out here, do you ever consume any content like that in poker?
Um, Not too much. When I was grinding more from back home, I watched like lots of stuff on the side. Like sometimes just listening to Doug's voice is fun. Not like as not really content related, but just more entertaining. I guess he does a great job there. I listen to most of your podcasts. Um, well, I had to watch Fedor's because just having a look in there whether I show up at some point. I got to check that out. And what else is out there? Yeah, I'm not following the streams too much, so I'm not who is out there. Not watching Jay Carver or Tonka or it's just like sometimes fun when a friend or myself is on their table and we know that they are streaming, just having a look, but not really following the stream action too much.
So I guess when you think about the different things you make a good poker player, and it sounds like you put a lot of thought into those things in those different areas. What do you feel like are some of your strongest areas, whether it's just consistency or whether it's work ethic or whether it's away from the table study? When you think about that for yourself, what do you think those areas are?
Um, Comparing myself to the tournament guys, that's definitely the deeper stack part. Um, then what you learn by playing so many hands over the years is that you can play close to your A game no matter what shape you're in. So it's like and one day I was super jet lagged and I had headache, etc., etc. I guess there are lots of people that are like they have like their C game, D game, and they suck sometimes. And I guess like my play when I'm playing really poorly is still very good because it's just like it's consistency a little in that case.
Right.
And
You're so used to playing in whatever form that you're in on a daily basis that you don't even think about. I know for me, I don't even think about what my C game is. I just sort of just go. I just play. I don't necessarily. I don't feel like some days I'm just not thinking. I'm just always thinking at pretty similar type of level. And I think you do find that from certain players. They say things like, "Oh, I'm just not feeling it today," or "I brought my C minus game, I brought my C game to the table." And I don't really actually know what they mean when they say that sometimes because I can't necessarily relate to that. And it sounds like you for yourself, that's similar for you, is that you're just so used to playing no matter what you're in, no matter how you're feeling, that when you turn up and when you play, you're going to play at a pretty high level consistently.
yeah, that's it. I mean, they are like especially those guys that are not playing online too much. It's just like getting bad beats or being in a bad mood must have a way bigger effect on them because it's just they never grinded it out like or they are not used to it. So like every single hand they play is like a bigger deal for them because it's just one out of X hands they played this month. And for me, or I mean, like you played way more hands even, you should feel the same a little, like 1 hand, 2 hand, 3 hands, 50 hands do not matter at all. You just keep going, right? This is more the thing.
It only took me about 7 years to realize that. So only took about 7, 6, 7, maybe like 6, 7 years to realize. I was like, wait a second, this actually doesn't matter. And obviously with the higher stakes you play, those hands kind of stick with you when you lose those big pots. But eventually you realize, like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You get to the next hand, you play the next hand, you get after it, and life goes on, and sort of that thing. But it took me a while to really, you think about it, and I understand it, and you feel it for the most part, but there's still 10% of the time, 5% of the time where something happens and it just fucking sticks with you for a while. And I think that's what happens for a lot of poker players out there, is that whether it's a session or a hand or whatever, it can stay with them for a long time. And your ability to I'm kind of just relating this to actually what's happening in life right now. And this is kind of something I wrote about earlier, is that the more you work at that, the more you get better at just getting over things, whether it's poker, whether it's life, whether it's whatever. And I do think the ability to do that at a high level is very, very good for your ability in poker and your poker results, but might not necessarily be the best thing for some things that happen in life. So
that's true.
How it kind of comes all together there.
I mean, it's like poker made me a super non-emotional person, if you want to take it that way, just because you just keep going and don't care about certain things that other people care way more about, like stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. I guess lots of people would even say that I'm like kind of a tilt box, because I like whenever I'm like, or I don't want to say tilted. I mean, obviously there are emotions involved, and I flame a lot in Skype and even write stuff at the table, but that's just like more consciously letting things out, and like I don't change my game because of that. So I guess this is this is a big benefit. And then coming back to the questions, to the question you asked, is like that there's like no real weakness anymore. Like I wouldn't say that I'm like scared of playing mid stack or short stack or whatever. So it's not my biggest strength, but definitely not one of the weaker. Like I'm like in no area I'm one of the bottom 50% of the field, I would say.
So right now, what are you trying to work at? What do you think area needs the most focus? Whether it's, I guess, what area do you think it is?
That's pretty much the mid stack area. It's like 40 BP, 50 BP. Thinking about ICM involvement as well, because I guess this is where most people. I'm confident with deeper, and the 40. That area is like where people make big mistakes, and I know for the biggest part how to play right, but I'm not sure about how to exploit the maximum out of people that are playing wrong there, because this is not a stage I played a million hands in. So this is like when I run sims here or have others running sims and just see the results. Shout out to Dominic Nietzsche here. Yeah, that's my main focus pretty much.
So do you feel like a lot of your improvement there is going to come through away from the table work, combine, or I guess I mean, for me, when I think about how to get better, it's away from the table work combined with playing, and then combined with more, and sort of you kind of go back and forth and work them in together. But some people are more away from the table. Some people are more just on the table in terms of getting better. So when you think about getting better at that area, where do you think, how do you sort of distribute that energy, and where do you put play, talking with friends, or running sims, or those type of things? How do you break it down from there?
Yeah, it's tough because I don't want to be someone of those guys that tell everyone how professional they are. So it's pretty obvious, not obvious, but yeah, I'm lazy as fuck and I don't like to work. So I'm not running too many sims. That's for sure. I mean, nowadays you got all the solvers out there, and you can run the simulation, and I know how to do that. And if I'm unsure about a hand, I know how to look it up. But I mean, that's the good thing about the group. I mean, there are some guys that weren't doing so much stuff back then when I was working really hard, like 2 years ago, maybe I would say, that are still like their motivation level is higher than mine. So they run the sims, and I'm ready to have a look at those. So this is more how it works. So right now we are together as a crew. We have our guys that run the sims, and then we discuss it. And I guess I'm pretty good at looking at things, looking at results, and putting it in easy words, or like at explaining why that makes sense instead of just copying what like the solver tells us. Um, so I still think I bring some value to the discussion, but I'm definitely not the guy running the Sims. I'm the guy lying at the pool having a caipirinha while others head to the hotel room and start their laptop.
Dare I say GTO? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you're not lazy. I'm sure when you say lazy and you think about what the traditional definition of lazy is, it's probably different for you than it might be for most people out there. So maybe your idea of lazy is only thinking about poker 20 hours a day instead of 24. I don't know, but I got to imagine when you say you're lazy, you're probably not quite as lazy as you might think. Maybe you're lazy about the study part of the things, but you're probably not lazy when it comes to the overall putting an effort into poker side of things.
Yeah, but I still think like I just see it for myself. I think it was Jason Kuhn. He had a super nice Instagram, Twitter, Facebook post, whatever, where he said in the end there must be a kid in Russia, Belarus, whatever, that is like smarter than me and working harder. So that's why he has to keep it up. And I always think the same. Like there must be people that are as smart poker wise as I might be. Um, and it's definitely possible to work harder. But then on the live circuit and online and everywhere, I'm looking around and find like a handful or maybe some more, but that's it. And I always think like in some, like for me it's always the Eastern European countries that is like my prejudices are that they are working insanely hard. There must be a crew of 50 people that crush all that stuff in 1 year. And I've thought that like 3 years ago. Didn't happen so far. Still waiting for it. Um, so yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I'm happy to be in that situation right now, but it's weird. I still feel like there should be someone as smart, working harder, crushing it more than I am, or than we as a crew are.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't see some of those Eastern Europeans too. You know, we kind of do see them a little bit online, but I don't know if it's just like the idea of being in a group or the idea of having friends. Maybe it's different there because like I think we should see though maybe getting stake. I know kind of the getting stake thing matters too because you think about, well, when do we actually see people in poker? Well, we see them at a lot of the high roller events, or we see them having a lot of success at the online high stakes tables, or we see them having a lot of success at the higher stakes online tournaments. But to play some of those things, you also do need to get back. You need to find someone to sell action to, and need to have no English kind of well. I think for the most part, and maybe some of those Eastern European guys, maybe they have some of the ability to be able to do that, but maybe their English isn't as good, or maybe their ability to make friends isn't as good, or their ability to want to share their results or turn themselves into a sort of person in the poker world, so then people know who they are, isn't as well. So it could be a combination of different things why we don't see that, and I don't know. Maybe it changes. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I know there's a lot of Eastern European guys that play on the toughest poker site in the world, America's Card Room. But I also suspect some of those Eastern European guys could be the same person, just on different bot network accounts. So, I don't know, man. Kind of,
Yeah,
probably not interested in poker. Wacho says that. I don't know if that's true or not.
I guess we gotta wait and see. Like maybe one day they will show up, or all the Asian players will overtake. But
listen, man, I've been wondering about this too, Stefan. Is that a lot of people say Asia and India, these are places rising in poker right now. And I got to imagine it's going to happen at some point in time with just how many Asian people are out there, how many Indian people there are out there. And poker is, I don't think it's necessarily new for those cultures, but at the same time, it is growing and growing and growing in popularity. And I imagine that they're going to start getting into the more mainstream poker world, mainstream poker tournament scene, the mainstream online poker scene at some point in time. And when that comes, man, I think we're all going to be out of luck. It's going to be Poker Live podcast, me with just Asian people on the podcast, pretty much.
I mean, I guess, but it's great that, as I said, the biggest poker site on the world, ACR, that the 1-2 games are so tough that it's just tough to build a roll. So
that's true.
They need money from some non-poker industry to make it that far, because I mean, maybe if they are really, really, really good or like close to GTO and exploiting at their best, they can have like a 2 to 3 PB win rate on 1-2 on ACR because everyone is just too good there, and it's just too tough to make the money, right? To join the high roller scene. So it might take either years or even decades, and then they need money from non poker industries. I guess that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, I know GPL right now. GPL is pushing pretty hard in China. GPL is pushing pretty hard in India as well too. So maybe these guys come in with the GPL guys, talk with them, they find some people there, and maybe they'll be able to find themselves a backer. Whether it's online, live, whatever. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. There might be a Fedor. Maybe there's a little Fedor, Asian Fedor out there sitting there right now, fucking 16
Probably.
years old, playing online poker and building up his role. You never know.
Maybe those guys are just started playing poker or like learning poker when they were 14, and now they are 17 and a half, and it's just like 6 more months and then it's all over.
Could be. We'll see, man. I mean, we could see. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm excited to see what's going to happen in terms of how how the poker world does evolve when you get some of these other countries and these players sort of hop in the mix. And I don't know the tax situation in terms of Indians playing in Europe or Indians playing in America or the Asian people playing in America as well too, to be able to get some more mainstream notoriety. So I don't know if it's possible. Whereas I mentioned the Canadians can't really play in these big poker tournaments in America because it's from tax purposes. And that's very unfortunate for them because a lot of the big exposure you can get is in the American tournaments, and especially with Poker Go and Poker Central, wanting to bring more, I guess, these mainstream sit and goes and also their high roller series at Aria and giving more visibility to that. 300K, of course, and Poker Masters. That is very unfortunate for those countries and those players where they get taxed so heavy when they come to America. Just in terms of, that's where a lot of the exposure is going to be if that's what you're interested in poker. And a lot of those high value tournaments as well, too, because we've seen, so the 300K, it's a very high value tournament to play in because they do get a pretty good amount of questionable win rate players in the mix.
So, yeah, like maybe white and yellow and red magic out there. Lots of different strategies.
Yeah, you mentioned Doug Polk maybe being an average reg. What do you think about somebody like a Danny Negreanu then? Where do you think he sort of falls into the the breakdown? If he was a regular on Stars or if he's competing in the high rollers, how do you think he ranks?
Well, actually, I agree with everything he wrote on Twitter. That I think I mean I can't really judge it, but I believe him that he was at some point one of the best players in the world or the best player. And nowadays he isn't. Like, just like the moves he has are like kind of limited. Like there is stuff out there that you can easily surprise him with, and I think we have seen that in Poker Masters, and he agreed on that. And it's like, but I have so much respect for him, like tweeting out stuff like that, and then I'm really sure that he's a super smart guy, obviously, and he's ready to put the work in. Maybe not the hours that are some of the young kids are putting in, or maybe he's even putting less hours in than myself. But still, like I think if he puts some work in there, he can catch up to be okay in those fields. Like I would say, like if I was working with him together with him, we could make him easily plus CV in the 300K. Like the Pokemasters, I mean that's really tough because they are just so many. There are not too many recreationals, and they are just like, let's say, the best players in the world, even when the Canadians and maybe some Russians are missing. And that's tough. I mean, he has so many other things to do by just not putting the hours in to study all the stuff. But he knows about that, and he is just super competitive. So I think he has a good chance to like not get lost against like us as like the very good players.
So are you thinking about maybe taking Daniel into the crew? Maybe he could be the honorary token North American guy that joins the group. And
we got to work on his last name. I mean, we can fit a Daniel in our group. That's a kind of German name. But Negreanu is this is weird. I mean, it's not German enough. But yeah, he would fit in there for sure.
Kristen says, up and coming kid poker. I guess the idea of up and coming, do you think there are any up and coming players out there that maybe you think don't, people don't really know much about, but you feel like they could be, Fedor tweeted out earlier this year, got to watch out for Goose Core, got to watch out for Run Goose Run. He's the next one coming up here. Do you feel like there's somebody else out there who we might have to watch out for in this near future in terms of we might know his name?
I mean, yeah, upcoming is like always a tough thing because like for the high roller circuit, I'm not really like a new guy. I've been there and they know me from online for quite a while. So I just try to come up with names. It's like I always have lots of respect for those guys that climbed up the stakes in the last 2 or 3 years. So and are like battling. Obviously, everyone is still waiting for Red Baron to like one day play a super high roller, but he's not a newcomer. So nowadays it would be maybe Ladislav, who is just playing everyone on Pokerstars nowadays. He played the EPT 50K in Barcelona and had some smaller life success as well. I guess he might, like, if he's a little. I think it takes him half a year or one more year to get a little bored by playing online. Like only online, and he might do it my way and go for the mix and like he will find he's not German, but he will find backers easily to just jump right in the 100k 300k whatever, it doesn't matter. He would be my choice for like a name.
Yeah, Linus Love. I know that he went to Barcelona, and I think he is still playing a lot online. I know Limitless. I think Limitless. Last time I talked to him, he started playing a lot in Asia, the high stakes games there, and I think he realized that maybe those games are slightly softer than battling online with True Teller and OTB Red Baron. So I think he might be playing there too. So see, I mean, I feel like any of those guys could break in, but kind of once again, it takes a certain type of person to say, all right, I'm going to focus on these, and I'm going to sort of not play as much online cash because online cash is fun to play. And, you see some of those guys, they might not want to. And that's what a lot of people do. They don't necessarily want to just go away from it. And we've kind of seen it in the past with True Teller to some extent. He's gone through spurts where maybe he played more live and then he went back to online, and it seems like he's playing more online right now. I think Fish2013, I think he showed up and played some events mainly in Europe though too. I don't know how much he's playing online right now as well. So I'm going to be curious to see exactly who the next online guy is to sort of try to venture over and to really give those live tournaments a shot. And you kind of made the idea of backing sound pretty easy, but I think for the most part, a lot of guys I think having a friend like Fedor's so used to being backed, and so he was so used to getting that backing and kind of makes it easy, a comfortable transition. But for a lot of players out there who don't necessarily have that friend who'd be like, hey, this is how it works, it's really easy, et cetera, I think it is still kind of, I wouldn't say it's just nerve-wracking or stressful or give you some anxiety to think about going to do that, even though you're probably find it very easily. So I imagine there are certain players out there who just that whole process sort of, they don't want to deal with it, or it's kind of freaks them out or whatever. So I'm sure that holds back a lot of players from giving more live poker a chance.
Yeah, and I think it's a personality thing as well, that like playing cash game online is just, it's kind of a video game that you can get good in and you're working towards a high score. Like what I realized, most of the very, very good players, they don't care about the money at all. Like they really treat it as a high score. Like have you seen True Teller walking around with bling bling and expensive stuff? Or like Fedor is not a high stakes cash game player, but does he look like someone who is like buying all the insane expensive stuff? Or even myself? Not really. And so it's tough for that type of players to get out there. Like I wasn't too interested, and then that was like a thing growing in myself, like getting out there a little, play that stuff, which had a lot to do with the success of my friends. And yeah, if you're successful at what you're doing, like why leaving your screen? And like going from playing a video game, going like in the real war out there, it's a different thing, like for sure. And it just needs, like, doesn't really need a different type of personality, but I think it's kind of an obstacle for some players for sure.
So speaking of bling bling, are you planning to buy anything? Have you bought something? Have you bought a car? Like what sort of have you purchased, or are you planning to potentially purchase, if anything? Besides that very nice computer chair you have over there. Where'd you get that computer chair from, by the way? Where's that from?
That's IKEA computer chair.
It's very weird that the IKEA Marcus newcomer. You heard you got the award. You got the award for the IKEA Marcus new. I forgot the fucking name I gave for it now, but you got the award. So congratulations, by the way. It's nice to see IKEA actually ship one of the Marcus chairs for you being the first winner of that award. So congratulations, by the way, about that.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it. Yeah, I'm not planning on buying. Not planning on buying anything. Um, what could I be? Could I buy a beer? I bought like a couple of years back. I bought a car from like my poker winnings. That was like, but now I'm living in Vienna. I don't need a car here. But yeah, it's like when you're just traveling. Yeah, I have a nice flat that I share with two others. I could have gone for a cheaper one because I'm just traveling all the time, so that's really not really worth it. But that's the kind of luxury I feel I can go for. But yeah, nothing I will buy in the near future.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the younger guys I talk to that are playing more poker or have success, like it seems like back in the day, people were very much driven by using that money to buy material things, whether it's watches or whether it's nice places or cars or whatever. It doesn't seem like that's the case with, maybe it happens to be with people, mainly these guys I know being European as well too. Maybe it's just a difference between Europeans and Americans as well, which I think that actually is true. But it seems like a lot of European guys, they just kind of make the money to make the money, man. It's, as you mentioned, it's the way to keep score. It's the way to tell you're doing well at poker. And like, I don't know, they don't necessarily want like, they don't want it really. Outside of that, they're kind of whatever. They're cool with whatever it is. They're cool with just kind of, more simple stuff, simple, nice stuff. But yeah, they're not really driven by that money per se.
Yeah, I think one big thing is, as you said, it's not just for the sake of being European. It's more like that. There are some Austrian guys that spend some money and stuff like that. But for the Germans or other European countries as well, they had to leave where they are from for tax reasons, pretty much. So and then it's like obviously you can call it new home, but it's not that I know that I will spend the next 5 or 10 years of my life here. Like no clue. And everyone who is thinking about investing lots of money or like buying a flat or buying a really nice car usually does that when he knows that he will be around that place for at least like midterm future. And this is just not the case for all the European grinders. So yeah, what can I get here? I have my flat, I have a suitcase, and what else do I really need for the life I'm living right now? Well, I have a big TV. Okay, I have FIFA 18. Okay, I have what else do I have? I have nice headphones for flying, and I have a okay setup. Not it's a little outdated, but yeah, that's it. What like I can't imagine. I have the new what is it? Uh, a new smartphone, but it's not even an iPhone. So yeah, that's the most expensive stuff I own.
You're a simple man, Poppy. I know we got some women out there in the chat today. Shout out to Michelle Morris, Joey, and Doug sharing the shiny forehead cream. Yes, we are. Me and Doug are sharing the same shiny forehead cream. I agree. Where do you stand with the relationship wise right now, Poppy? You got a girlfriend out there? I know a lot of women out there watching right now are very interested in this question, man.
No girlfriend. Um, no, it's kind of weird. Like I had discussions with like other grinders. It's obvious, like not obviously, but I think it's quite common that like most of the guys traveling the circus do not have girlfriends. I mean, we can take it that way that we have lots of girlfriends, but um, yeah, I mean,
speak for yourself, okay? Speak for yourself, right?
No, well, I know you, Joey. I know you better than you know me. So um, yeah, it's like tough when you're traveling like all the time, like wherever I am. When it's like where I grew up at my parents' place, where I still have lots of friends, whether it's in Vienna, whether it's like somewhere on the tour, wherever you go, like when people ask you what are you doing, etc., or where are you living, like you have to tell them that you're kind of on vacation and you will leave in 2 weeks. I think this is not the yeah not the like not the great basis to start a relationship. Not really. So, I mean, if you really search for one, I guess you can make it happen, but it's not like it's not like it's just happening, like with the lifestyle you have.
For sure, it can be tough. Definitely. I mean, I think even for you, you play a lot of live poker too, and then you're leaving even more and more. And obviously, you can see people and see certain women when you maybe come to the same town, but then a couple weeks later, you guys leave. They go back to their place. You go back to your place. Maybe you go back to Vienna for a couple weeks. Then you go to Asia for 3 weeks. And I think a lot of times, it's just something I've always thought about it. And I mean, it almost works better to be single and not have to put any energy towards these other things, because if you do want to go to Asia for 3 weeks, or you want to go to America for 4 weeks, or you want to go to Melbourne and you want to stay there an extra week or two, if you have someone else that you care about, that you want to see and that you might love, that lives here, well, then maybe you're going to sacrifice that to go there. And maybe you don't see it as a sacrifice in some ways. Maybe you want to do that. But to me, and whether that's true or false, or this is true or false rather, that always impacted my perceived EV in poker, in terms of my ability to keep getting better, my ability to make money, my ability to stay focused, stay in the zone, be consistent. Having that girlfriend or having this person there that you put this energy towards really got in the way of that. And I guess, do you see it that way? Do you see it that way in terms of the more serious you are about somebody, potentially, the more it can hinder your success or your ability when it comes to playing poker?
Yeah, it gotta be like that 100%. It's like just other stuff, even if it's like good for you as well, like to a certain extent. But it's like you have to deal with so much stuff, and well, I try to be very rational, like whatever I think about, and I'm not sure how discussions with the girls we like would look like in that spot. I mean, staying rational there is super tough, and like just I mean it's like yeah, you need to spend time for having a relationship, and that's like that time we'll miss in other places. Either I'll cut it from my pool time and drinking alcohol, or I cut it from my poker time. And either way, it's like it either is not good for me or it cuts my ev. So it's yeah, like just I agree 100% with what you said.
Yeah. Kristen says, Joey, keep in mind that some women are watching this for poker life content and not for the hot guys. And now, Kristen, I completely agree with that. Even though we do get some very attractive young males on here, shout out to Doug, shout out to Stefan, of course. But yeah, of course I know all people aren't doing that. So let's see. Natalie says, girlfriend is minus EV. Hey, listen, man, Natalie, you said it, not me. I don't know.
But she gotta keep in mind it's only minus EV poker wise. If the girlfriend life EV is higher, then it's minus EV for the poker EV. Then it's a plus EV life life decision, obviously. So I wouldn't go with it minus EV per se, right? So keep that in mind.
I'm gonna let you take that one, man. I'm gonna let you take that one here.
Like,
guys, let me give some questions from the chat, guys. I see some good ones. Is he also on the BGG? I'm gonna guess no. Young girl grind 2100 Rig the Thunder. I'm gonna guess no as well too with that, but I'm not really sure.
What's the question?
You said, are you on the YGG, Young Girl Grind? 21 and under, you're gonna bring in the Thunder.
Well, I guess like I mean 18 would sound young right now. 19 kind of I just turned 27. 19 starts like feeling young now. I think 20 and above is all cool. And no BGG.
No BGG, no okay. No 160
rooftop to make sure that there are some stairs in between.
What you mean?
Your stairs prevents you from getting big girls up there.
Jesus fucking Christ.
This is GTO.
Listen, 2014 we could have had this discussion. 2017, I can't follow up anything with that, man. I'm scared to make any jokes right now. So no. Florian says, what district in Vienna do you live in?
Second
district. Okay. How many cryptocurrency? Are you big into cryptocurrency? Are you one of those guys in crypto world?
Not at all. Like my take on that is when I have no clue of something, I'm very nitty with it. So it's the same with staking. When I'm not sure, I won't invest. So I think there's something going on, but I'm just not interested in the topic at all. And yeah, that's I said before. I was kind of lucky that it was last year WSOP. max late reg the first two 1K events, busted both in the very first hand, and was pissed about the Rio. So I just stayed at home and figured out a way how to play online poker from there. I found the great poker site of ACR, um, deposited 5K, and started playing 10-20 heads up, which seems like a reasonable idea, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good bankroll. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you can lose it once, but I mean, twice, how can that happen? So I spent it up a little, and then they took away there was for UK players, they took away the option to withdraw via Skrill. So I could either go for the Bank of America, which I don't have, but I'm sure it's a great bank, and or I can go for Bitcoin. I had no clue what that is, so I went for Bitcoin, and they were like, one Bitcoin was 700 back then. So I got a few, and they are like a little more now, but that's all I have. It was like one small lucky bink.
You know what's sick is that a lot of the money for online, once Bitcoin got introduced as a cash out option on Ignition and ACR, I had a bunch of Bitcoin. I always like sold. I'm like, I'm not keeping this. I'm selling it instantly, and I'm very happy with my decision to sell that all at below $1,000 each time that I did get it. So, so yeah, it's very is what it is. Florian says, did you have a party last week? I think two of my friends were at your place.
I was not in Vienna last week. I was at the Oktoberfest, but my flatmates might have had a party, so I don't know. I wasn't there.
Who are your best friends in poker?
Best friends? Well, the crew, obviously. It's Fedor, Reiner, Koray, Stefan, Christian, Dom. It's those guys. Julian Thomas, he's not traveling too much. I hang around a lot with him in Vienna. Yannis, Fedor's flatmate. Like the whole German crew, like all the guys here in Vienna. We just doing so many. I don't want to name don't want to rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but yeah, like all those guys.
So what do you think are some of the top, if you do like a little power ranking for online cash game players right now, do you have maybe a ranking in mind for that, or have you not been paying that close attention enough to know it?
I didn't play them, so I can just tell you what I've seen from the games. I mean, it's Linus Lav and Red Baron pretty much playing everyone, and then there's like Oh Hey Cindy sometimes joining in. But what I've heard from others is that he's not the winning player in that lineup. And then it's like a whole bunch of players that are really good, but maybe a little worse than Linus and Red Baron, that just jump in when there's a spot. So it's more like I pick those two for number 1 and 2, because they are playing the most. But it's tough to like put in Fish 2013 or True Teller or like all other guys that are, or like the guys that are playing PLO right now, like where to put Ike Hexton, where to put, does Phil Galfond play No Limit Hold'em, Ben 86, like no clue how to put them in there because they are not playing. So they are pretty much out of my ranking. And nowadays, the guys that are playing nowadays are those two, and then like a whole big bunch of people that join depending on how the game is. So it's,
I think I'm gonna try to get Oh Hey Cindy on the podcast. I think he's living up in.
Well, what's his real name? He's an American guy.
He is an American guy. Yes, I don't know if it's like a public name. I don't know.
I don't know it, but yeah.
I can tell you after, but I don't know if it's like, I don't know if he's actually his public name is public, but he is an American guy, and I think he's living in Norway right now, and he's getting on the Norwegian grind. And I know he's out of line too. He's very out of line because we almost had I think we almost went out a couple nights during the summer in Vegas.
Yeah, he's definitely out of line on the table, but yes. Off table as well.
Yes, yes, I believe so. I've
seen some plays. He must be a great guy. I mean, like, you don't do that stuff when you are like a boring dude, right? It's like I've seen some crazy hands, and I love seeing like 2+2 I6 bet. Check it out. Oh Hey Cindy, Linus Love. There's crazy shit going on.
What do some people, they talk about this guy Obaro, or Burrow, alleged bot, potentially, allegedly, whatever. People talk about it, people discuss it. Have you ever had a chance to play with that account? And do you think that there might be bots currently playing high stakes, no limit cash games?
I played quite a lot with Oboro. I don't think that he's a bot, because he's not only playing the cash game, so he's not focusing on one game. He is like playing cash games and sit and goes at the same time. What is a little weird is that whatever he does post club is very, very close to solver solutions. This is why people think he's a bot. Mm-hmm. And what he does is he simplifies a lot pre-flop. So he does not have as many different situations as other people. So I would say he gives up a little EV pre-flop to have an easier game tree post-flop. And this is either a super smart dude learning all the GTO stuff off game and having like certain sizings that he sticks to, and just like working a lot with simplifying and mastering that. Or obviously it's possible that there's something running on the side. I guess if you simplify so much, it is possible to run a program that is just putting that spot in and solve in real time. I guess that's possible. But yeah, for me, he has like for sure the benefit of the doubt, because this is quite a big deal that he's not focusing on one game type, but he's playing sit and goes as well. So he would need like infinite different programs to run on the side all the time for all the. It's easy to simplify situations for 100 big blind cash game, and that's the only spots you play every single time. That's like an okay amount of spots if you simplify a lot. But if you go with ICM and 15 bigs and 20 bigs and 30 bigs and 5 bigs, that's kind of tough. So and yeah, I talked to Mikita, to Fish 2013. He told me he knows him in person. So for sure that person exists, and if there's something going on, it's like something on the side, like as a help. But I would never say that. Like it's possible, I guess, but yeah.
JB says, what do you think about Ben CB?
Ben CB? Well, he's a good friend of mine. He has been in Canada back then. He's a great player. He does a great job coaching. So got to make some ads for his Raise Your Edge here. I helped him a little with that as well. So yeah, he's living here in Vienna. He got the old Fedor flat with a nice hot tub on the top. I'm sometimes around to just feel like the king of Vienna, sitting in the hot tub on the rooftop terrace right next to Stephansdom. And yeah, he's crushing tournaments, like all levels.
Can you tell how do you say Stefan? How do you say the other SS in tournament? How do you say his last name?
Schilhabel.
Schilhabel.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I've been calling him Stefan Schilhabel. Okay, I'm not really sure how to say it. And
Schilhabel. That's fine. Like they do way more stupid stuff with my name than they do with his. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Oh, your name seems so easy, but saying his name, I was like,
yeah, it's like lots of Americans start going for the TH in my name, and then you mess it up. Like I've Santhemeyer, you hear a lot, which is like super stupid. Like if you just read it, it's like not even close. This is like where the big issues come from. And Schilhabel, there's obviously you can pronounce like the start or the end or in between wrong, but it will never sound super wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's see. David SNO says, "What accelerated your poker thought process, and what are your poker goals in the short term since you just got the purple jacket?"
What accelerates my poker thought process?
What accelerated your poker thought process?
Actually thinking about the way you want to think about something. I have like lots of guidelines in my head, like to have a certain pattern of thinking. It's definitely not looking down at your cards and try to do something to your opponent. Like I have this and I want to make him call. I want to make him fold. That's not how it works. It's more like I have my thought pattern. There's a flop falling down, then I think like, okay, how do ranges perform here? Which sizings do I want to use overall? And then it's like next step. Now I look at my hand and like I have a plan made up in my mind already, and now I look at my hand and just have to put it in the right line I want to use. So it's like and lots of patterns for that. Yeah, but this is like thinking about the way you want to think about poker helps a lot. And yeah, I think I have a very clear opinion about that. But I can go a little deeper there. It's lots of players always talk about either one side is GTO or the other side is exploitative players. Like I like to have the big picture and putting all that together. So actually, I think in 3 steps. Step number 1 is always what would be right. So it's always great to know the solver solution out there. What would be GTO, whatever. Then it's step number 2, what is villain doing wrong? And for me, you can only answer that question when you know step number 1. There are so many people that are saying like, okay, this guy is over c-betting, but they don't even know which c-bet frequency would be right. So this is a statement that is not worth anything for me. So it's 1, 2, and then number 3 is how can I exploit that, and to which degree should I exploit that? Will I only see that guy one time in my life and I go for the 100% exploit and 4-bet jam my 7 deuce off here because he's overfolding? Or do I stay reasonable and play that guy like every tournament again and just go for a small exploit? So this is like 1, 2, 3, and this is like the main thinking for every single poker spot out there, which puts all that together from GTO to exploitive player. If I guess that was a good answer.
Yeah, I think number 3 is something that I think number 3 is really, I mean, I guess a lot of that's very interesting to kind of discuss, but number 3 specifically, when I think about it, is that because when you play against players often, you can kind of see where they're weak at or where you think they might be doing things incorrectly. And then you have a decision do you want to overexploit that because they're not doing it correctly, but at the same time, then they might start to get better at that, or do you want to only try to exploit that once in a while, and that way they don't just start adjusting straight away? And I think there's some things in PLO specifically where certain players will just call 3 bets a ton out of position and then play very, very weak post flop. They'll play very weak on the flop. They'll just check fold too often. They won't check call enough. They'll just be check raising like a very sort of narrow range. Just play very weak, and you don't see this as much now at the mid and high stakes because those players just don't exist anymore. But this was something that was very, very prevalent maybe 3-4 years ago. It was just this would be like an easy thing you notice in someone. But then you have a decision, well, if I can abuse this guy so often with my 3 bets post pre-flop in position against him, do I just keep 3-betting the fuck out of him? But okay, so if I shouldn't do that, then what should I do? How should I approach it? Maybe calling position against him and then playing post-flop with him is actually going to yield a higher win rate overall. So then you might want to try that, and then sort of just kind of deciding, okay, which ones do I like the most? Which ones do I like the less? Why do I want to do that, and for what reason? I found that aspect of things quite fascinating. And now those things definitely do still exist. You just kind of have to find them a little bit more, and they're not necessarily as glaring, the mistakes, because like I said, a lot of those guys aren't playing every day anymore just because you can't really have these big glaring leaks like that. But you used to see a lot of those in PLO a couple years back.
Yeah, I like to break things down until they get very, very easy most of the time when I have situations like that. So my example for that is always just rock, paper, scissors. Right? So step number 1 would be here to know that the perfect GTO solution would be to take 1/3 rock, 1/3 paper, 1/3 scissors, totally randomized. That's like an easy GTO solution. Then step number 2 to figure out what villains are doing wrong. Like do we have population reads? Do we have gender reads? Do we have nation reads? Do we have stuff like that? So obviously, I just assume you take rock more often than other stuff because every male is doing that, and they are like, I've read some university papers about that actually. So this is kind of fun. And the third part is how should you exploit that? And then it's so different of like in which like situation are you guys going to play? There is something like World Championship of rock paper scissors out there, and I think they have a system of like like a shootout system, and you play like 3 rounds of best of 9, or like something similar to that. So if it was just a shootout system and I play you just like a single time rock, paper, scissors, it's super obvious if I think or I have the read over population or male population or whatever, that they take rock most often, I should just go with paper. That's super obvious. But what's my plan if I know that you take rock a little too often, and I know that I will play you 9 times in a row until there's a break? It's like bang, 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 one after another, and you just have to keep going. So what's your plan there? Is it like, do you go with 40, 30, 30, little leaning towards paper? Do you go with like just GTO and go with like 50% equity, or how to exploit that? And this is the same with poker. Like back in the days, everyone had infinite hands on everyone, like on Zoom or like on all the mid stakes. And for pre-flop, you have all kinds of stuff. You have like all the stats you have are just, you can treat them as given pretty much. But going further, you're not really sure, like how certain is that information? How often will that spot come up? So whenever you try to exploit someone, you get exploitable yourself. And if, I mean, your opponent is probably not a donkey. So if this is a thinking human being, he might figure out that you are 4-betting light if he sees you 4-betting 7 deuce off at some point of time, even if it might have been plus EV that one single time. But that's probably not the way you want to adjust to someone. And yeah, if it's like this guy that just won the Sunday Million and sits down on 5,100 the same night, well, I don't care about it at all. I go for the maximum exploit whenever I think I have a read. And yeah, that's like my take on that. And that's again, like, now we have the problem to discuss, like when we play that high roller circuit and play the same guys over and over again. There might be some people where I think, okay, they are not defending their big blind properly, and I want to open raise a little looser on the button. But on the same hand, I don't want to I don't want them to see me showing up with like super garbage there,
right?
Because then, I mean, they are smart. They are playing a super high roller. They will figure out for every single time that is still to come that I'm probably a little too loose from the button against specifically them. And it's like it's tough to find the right trade-off there.
For
But
sure. I mean, now you're kind of getting to that step 3, which is, you know, you explained it in very good detail, but then a lot of people out there, they have the trouble figuring out, okay, well, this is the answer and why. And obviously that thing is going to be different for everyone. You might think the answer to step 3 is different than what I might think the answer to step 3 is, or what someone else might think that answer is. And how do we prove that this one is better than the other one? Well, you know, we can kind of prove number 1 in a lot of ways, but number 3 we can't. And that just, I mean, that's where a lot of
that's the reason why poker will stay out there for a while. This is like the fun part of it. That's super interesting. And this is like the biggest part when people ask like, how are you guys and your crew doing content together? It's not too much about part 1, because we can just look it up, or every one of us could look it up. Besides Fedor, he's too lazy for that programs. And yeah, the part 2, this is like where we gather information, and part 3 is pretty much the discussion about. So like, what's that all about? What's max EV for us now? And yeah, it's interesting, and there's no solution on that. Like no perfect solution. Yeah, this is where we still got to try to beat the others.
I agree. Someone in the chat said, Super Posse said, Doug canceled his stream. Why don't you do the same? Have some respect for what happened in Vegas, Joe. And I kind of talked about that at the beginning of my podcast, but I'll raise it again. And in retrospect from doing this, I'm actually very happy that I decided to do this, because it has been a great way for me to, you know, sort of, I guess, take my mind off of the emotions I was feeling beforehand. And yeah, so I think it was a good decision for me to actually go ahead and do this. And also for Stefan, you know, we've talked about doing this. We've had this planned out. You know, I know he's made time in his schedule to do this as well, too, out of respect for him. I do want to keep that up with him, and I do want to, you know, put this on. I don't want to be like, hey, can you come back tomorrow or whatever it is, or, you know, 2 days from now. So I think about when I approached that situation, deciding to do this or not to do this. Those are the kind of things that ran through my mind. And I do like to show respect to people, especially people that do agree to come on my podcast as well. So that's how I came to the decision to go ahead and do this right now. And whether Doug decided to do or not do something, that's up to Doug. And I respect his decision to do whatever he wants to do as well. So yeah, that's what we have to say about that, I guess. And we can kind of move on from there. So let's see here what the chat is. The PLO Mafia says, this guy is very smart. There is a reason he won.
Okay, thanks.
That's true. I don't know. That's true. Do you consider yourself to be a smart person in general, or a smart poker player? When you think about the idea of being smart, what do you think about yourself?
Yeah, well, there are certain parts where I'm definitely smart. I mean, that started in school. There were different things where I seem to be kind of smart, and I think I'm kind of smart in poker. I'm definitely not that smart in other parts of life, but there's that's how everyone is. So yeah.
You're smart in some areas. You're just uninformed maybe in other areas. You're not necessarily not smart.
Yeah, that's it. I gotta put some more hours in the lab in other areas. So
right.
That's it.
Dima Skak says, ask him about top MTT. I don't know if this guy's top MTT on top MTT online reg. What is top MTT online reg? VEA?
VIA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I know the name, but that's it. Like all the online regs is kind of tough to give a rating. So I actually just thought first that he's just asking for top online MTT regs, but online it's like not in the super high rollers that you have to beat the best players to win there. It's more like you have to get the maximum out of the bad players to win in online tournaments, because they are just lots of bad players around. And that's why if I'm pretty sure lots of people listening out there have a higher ROI in the Sunday Million, for example, because I just don't know all the people, and I don't know like the population tendencies out there. I mean, I followed a little this. I guess you know about BitB, that staking crew, and the Swedes that had a bet going for W Coop, and these are just some guys that are playing like every single day online. They are super smart. They know everyone out there, and they just run over all the spots, and they make against like all the unknown spots. They know exactly how to play against them because they put in the hours, and they played so many hands against them. And Via might be one of those guys as well. I guess he's Russian. I'm not really sure. And yeah, lots of respect for those, but I would be ready to play them at any point of time, just because I think like they are not like in the it's a different way of being good at poker. Like squeezing the maximum out of weaker players is a different thing than beating the best players, and that's what it's like the main deal. Yeah, the main deal in online tournaments. That's what it is, pretty much.
So you're saying the main difference online tournaments is beating the weaker players?
Yes, 100%. Like if it's not the 25K on Stars or Party, or like the 5K side events they started recently, but something like the Sunday Million. If you know how to get the maximum out of the, I mean, they're like, if I sit on the Sunday Million, I'm pretty sure I'm the best player at my table. But the guy one to my right might win more because he knows the 7 spots on the table, right, or he knows those spots playing the Sunday Million in general, because there must be some population reads. So he gets more out of them, even when he's losing a little to me himself. So that's what I think about it. It's like same for like the WSOP main event. I don't know, they're just players that might have a higher ROI in that. Like I'm not stupid that I think like I'm better than everyone there. I mean, it's just it's a big deal to have all the information about players. And for having that, you need to be out there and grind the circuit, or online. Same thing, pretty much.
Whoa. All right, guys. Let me take 1 or 2 more questions. I'm seeing a lot of questions in here. Not necessarily questions I'm curious about, so I don't really want to ask them for the most part. Ask them for the most part here. Um, these questions are kind of funny. Ask him if he thinks the Baron would clean the bankroll of all the Fedor bots in a second or not.
No, it needs a week of Pokermasters.
Okay. Best heads up. He doesn't even play heads up. Best heads up player in 2017.
Well, I have to exclude everyone that is not playing. Right? This is how I do it. And I would say that first two I don't want to play against are Danmer and Dominic Nietzsche.
Danmer? So Danmer, you'd say Danmer's at the top of the list right now?
I never played them, so those two. I both rank them one. No number one ranking.
Can't tell Danmer about this. He's gonna get too. He's gonna get too turned
Yeah.
on if he hears this, man. Oh my god.
He's a cool guy. He will be all right.
He's gonna get. I know he's gonna be all right. He's gonna be excited.
Yeah,
he's gonna be more excited on a daily basis right now when he hears this. So.
I mean, now I told everyone, like, before he has seen it when I ran away when he joined me in ACR. The best. I mean, this is like that. We're definitely the best heads-up poker players are playing, right? Must be ACR.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Stuff on there.
I just think about, like, I know some. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there are some names on ACR that I played recently where I don't know who it is. So, but yeah, I played pretty much everyone but Danmer and Dom. So that's it.
Ask him. Does he? Lurie says, ask him if he has some GTO daily habits.
I have one basic rule that I stick to, like, forever and ever. This is no alarm clocks. So I sleep until I get up. This is my rule. And yes, I drink coffee, and yes, I drink beer. And yes, I'm not one of those healthy going to gym and eating only meat and vegetables type of guys. Yeah, but that's the only habit I would say. No alarm clock. This is makes your life better.
No alarm clock.
No alarm clock.
So you don't have a sleep schedule, it sounds like.
Not at all. I mean, I'm traveling way too much, and I'm like, as long as you have no sleeping schedule and you don't have an alarm clock, you can't be really jet lagged. It's just you're in maybe a little different rhythm than everyone around you, so it's okay.
You know what? This is a good point because you finally answered my question. People always talk about jet lag, and I'm like, kind of laugh. I say, what are you talking about? I don't ever have jet lag, and that's because I've never had a sleep schedule. So, but until recently, now I have a sleep schedule now, and I actually do use an alarm. But
well, the problem is when they put tournaments like in the middle of the night. Like I wouldn't be jet lagged, but now it's this Aria putting Pokermasters in, like, I don't know what time zone it is. Like was it 4 a.m. for me to get up? I don't know. Like something like that. This is the reason for jet lag. It's not me flying there. It's like their schedule not being on my time.
Right. Gus P says, have the Germans ever discussed coming to America and just wrecking a circuit stop like Borgata or SHRPO?
Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open. Some of us have been to Miami. The problem is that we still do that for money, and it's quite costly to fly over to the US, spending a week, paying a hotel, and playing only non-high roller events. So some of us, we will come to Miami, like not to conquer it, you're safe, but to play maybe some, if they have a 50K against some of the Germans will come over there. And yeah, but Bogarda is safe. What else do you have? Jacksonville is safe. What I don't know, even, like, what is it, Choctaw, something like that? That is safe too.
Choctaw is safe. Calm down. Choctaw will be fine. Okay.
Some places are safe from, like, yeah, maybe some others, but not our German high roller crew.
Rick So says, Joey, can you please ask Stefan what his thoughts about the nationality aspect in live poker? Are decisions influenced by the nationality of a certain player?
Yes, as long as I have no clue who this guy is. So, because there are some population tendencies, and you can break them down to nation tendencies. Like everyone knows that Scandis are fucking crazy. Right? Everyone is scared of the Germans because they play bot-like. So okay. The Swiss are donating the money in Europe. That's okay. Americans like to 3-bet offsuit aces. Okay, like stuff like that. And people from Israel and Brazil, they have a larger call button than other nations. So Canadians like folding. That's like some general stuff where there must be something behind this. Like it's like all prejudices, there is something true. Yes, we Germans drink more beer than others, but not more than like Eastern European countries. So when I play the high rollers, I know most of the people I play with. But when I'm sitting in the WSOP main and have a decision, I mean, I just start talking, and where this guy is from is a question I ask him like pretty early in the talk. And if he gives me an answer, that helps me. Like usually when he gives me an answer, he's a little stronger because he's confident in the first place. But in the next spot, I know, well, he's from Brazil and he won't believe me. So that's okay. Yeah, so there is something like asking for nationality and putting that into account, taking that into account for your decision. Sure, why not?
Team 7 said, I played a 1K in Austria with Stefan, and he 4-bet a flop with 10-8 offsuit on 6-4-2 after getting 3-bet and asking where the guy is from, and somebody said Romania, so he shoved.
That wasn't me.
Allegedly. I don't know. I'm telling you what the chat, allegedly in chat says that. Luke Lynn says, what about Chinese people? What do you think about the chat? You got any, what do you think about Chinese? What are the assumptions you have about them?
And no assumption. I just take it like because next up is Macau. I enjoy playing them a lot because they have another, like talking about the spots now. I don't know any Chinese regs. So because they have another mindset, like the European and the most of the American, like not talking about Bill Perkins right now. Like other Americans are sitting there trying to make a hand, and they are not enjoying themselves, or it seems like they are not enjoying themselves at the poker table. This is very different in Asia. There are like lots of people playing the high rollers that have like infinite amount of money, and they like splashing around with it, and I can see them enjoying themselves, giving me a challenge. Like he doesn't care about the outcome. I played last year there, and he puts me in like an insanely tough spot. Like I remember, I have just one spot in my mind, and that was like insane. It took me like I think I not wasted. I used 2 of my time bank chips there. I ended up calling, and I was right. But I had no clue what I was doing there. Just ended up like, why not? If I have no clue, it's fine either way. So and he just had such a great time. He lost like most of his chips, but he was really enjoying how I was suffering. He gave me a challenge. They are there to challenge the pros. Feels like if you can go for something in general there, and this is not what I feel with the like, let's call them spots. It's okay. Spots of the Western world. They like, especially those older guys. They look not happy at all. They try to make a hand. They are kind of pissed when they don't win the pot, and they are like passive and not aggressive at all. Like all those Chinese players, not all, but most of them are just splashing around and giving you a tough time, which is just I actually enjoy it a lot when the people where the money is coming from long term are having fun, because this is what makes poker, how it works right now, possible. Like they are paying money in the long term, but they get something for it, and this gives me a good feeling.
So it sounds like you're excited to go to Macau next month.
I'm excited for playing there, not excited for the place at all. Yeah. Okay. Well, didn't have any. I can't remember anything good from last year. I bricked everything. I even got injured, had to fly home, and like that was not a good place for me.
How'd you get injured in Macau? What happened?
Injured is not the right word. Like I got up on like, was it day 3 of the main, something like that. I had a very good stack. I got up and couldn't hear anymore on one side. So I had to play the main, and I had no clue what that was. Like it it didn't hurt, but it was just so confusing for my brain. I couldn't think straight. It was just insane. I needed 1 hour to punt away my stack in a 4-bet pot, and then I was ready to go to the hospital. And they figured out that there was a hole in my eardrum. Like, this is usually just small kids that play around with some, I don't know, some scissors or just a pen, like something like that happens. Like, and still I don't know where it came from. And yeah, it took like 2 weeks taking some stuff, and like I went back to Germany because I wanted to have a non-Chinese doctor opinion that I understand 100% on it, and then I had to cancel the trip to the Caribbean, where I just wanted to be on vacation pretty much. But yeah, just 2 things that I wasn't allowed to do was like being on the beach, because sand getting in my ear would be the worst, and no water. So yeah, if the plan was a nice beach vacation in the Caribbean Sea, that didn't work out too well. But yeah, shit happens, and it's all good again.
So that's all fixed now? It healed up? You don't got to worry about that again?
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. Now it's gone. Like, maybe one day it comes back, but yeah, whatever. We'll never find out. I mean, there was the players' party the night before, but the doctor said for 100%, no way it can come from music or something. It's just must be something physical. I'm not sure whether I got in I shared room with Dietrich Fast that day. Maybe we got in a fight being drunk, but I don't know. Everything else was fine, so I will never find out. But okay, I can live with it.
Huh. I've heard stories about single men in Macau, Poppy, and okay, whatever you say. I'm not gonna. I won't ask any more about that, man. Let me scroll up here. I think I saw Theo Victor says, "Hey Joey, is there any advice for assembling a peer group for studying the game and improving together as players in the process? I just moved to Berlin for exactly that purpose. Would be nice to get Stefan's thoughts on that, since he has already accomplished that."
Well, it's pretty easy. Just find people that are doing exactly the same stuff like you do. It's fun. Like, I'm never deleting group chats for some reason. My WhatsApp is just, sometimes it says like too many group chats and I have to delete some, and it's same with Skype. So I'm still in all the groups with like all the study groups when I started moving up to NL5, to NL10, to NL25. So I'm sometimes in touch with those guys from like 6 years ago, and we were cheering for each other winning another $10 on NL5. And so it's just finding people that are doing the same stuff and motivate each other. That's it. But I think this is no new knowledge, nothing special.
I think the best approach would be to try to reach out to somebody else if it's in your town, whether that's through using poker forums, whether that's through asking friends of friends, do you know anyone here? Or even the poker tables, if it's live or if it's online. You know, I'm sure there's some sort of sub forum for where your country is, or there's something like that. And just take some investigation. It takes some work. It might take some effort, but yeah, I mean, that's going to be the way to find it. So you just kind of have to put yourself out there, try talking to some people you might not normally talk to. And then, yeah, you know, that's kind of how I did it back in the day too.